You see the final score, we track the revenue stream. Welcome to the show that treats the sports world like the multi-billion-dollar business it is. We dissect the ownership deals, the television right battles, the NIL impact, and the media figures driving the entire narrative. From Wall Street to the locker room, we follow the money and the people who control the message. Welcome to Press Row, the business of sports, right here on the Empty the Bench Network. Now, here's your hosts, Callum McClurg and Nick Morgeson. All right, everybody. Happy Hump Day. It is another edition of Press Row live and in full here for the next 3 hours on the Empty the Bench Network. As always, he's Nick Morgeson from Plainview, New York. Callum McClurg here in San Diego. Another action-packed program covering all the biggest headlines and stories across the wide world of sports on this Wednesday morning/afternoon. February 11th, 2026, Mr. Morgeson. We had a great Super Bowl edition of the program on Sunday. Kind of came here for about an hour and a half, talked some Super Bowl stuff, but now we're back to our usual 3-hour time slot on this Wednesday, despite Twitter being a dumbass right now. How are we doing today?
Yeah, it would be nice if I could actually retweet and share our feeds, but right now I can't currently do any of that because what? Yeah, look, the retweet and the like options are still not there, and I had a fight with Twitter last night, which thanks a lot, Elon, you piece of shit. Sorry.
Well, thankfully, it looks like you can watch us on the FP5 Twitter account this morning, which is good. But we are sadly stuck with some Twitter difficulties right now as we kick off the show this morning.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if I can retweet anything, but all right, it doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna get into a lot today. We're gonna get into the Super Bowl. Don't you worry. We'll talk about the ratings a little bit, and we'll bring you inside the halftime show because there's a lot of controversy with the halftime show going back and forth. But before we do all that, make sure you follow us on social media at Press Row ETB across all social media platforms as we continue to work through our Twitter issues currently. Also follow the network at ETB Network as we continue to grow our followings. We continue to add to this show and a bunch of other shows, which we'll talk about at the end as we are working on some new projects and stuff on top of all the other stuff we're doing now currently. And subscribe to our YouTube channel.
What don't you understand about more?
Exactly. YouTube.com/ETB Network. Please go watch over on our YouTube channel. You can see it on Twitter. It's just only on the sidebar currently, which they say for some reason. I was talking to the Twitter people, and they said apparently that's where it's supposed to start, but I don't see it on the feeds, which doesn't make any sense.
I'm gonna go check real quick too.
I see it up on the sides, but for some reason they don't want to generate the actual feeds. But we got a great show for you today. Like I said, we're going to talk the Super Bowl. We're going to talk Bad Bunny in the halftime show, the interpretations. A lot of people had different opinions about the halftime show, that it was not translated into English. I'm one of those who don't agree with that 100%. There are a lot of people who had some intelligent opinions saying that the show was fine, but it's not fair to people who don't understand Spanish. So that's not fair to certain people. So we'll get into the debate of that. Also, it wouldn't be a Press Row show without talking about prediction market controversy, just like the WNBA drama, which we don't have any of today. Knock on wood. Wait, what? No WNBA drama today?
Don't jinx it.
But yeah, there's a lot of Kalshi drama today. We'll get into the whole Cardi B prop bet and what's considered dancing and being part of a show or not being part of a show. Also, we have more on Aspiration.
Oh, my
Kawhi
goodness.
Leonard.
No, please have mercy.
Yeah, Don't take out my legs. But yeah, Pablo Torre finds out, put out a new episode, and there was a lot. You and I were trying to watch the episode last night. Now the NBA might be allegedly getting a cut. The Clippers apparently had his uncle on the payroll getting money. There's a lot we're gonna have to get into with Kawhi Leonard and the circumvention of the cap and all that. Also, Charles Bediako, who was playing in Alabama, officially rejected after playing, what was it, 5 games?
Yes.
So thank God someone finally had some common sense to realize that a professional player should not be able to go back to college basketball. Also, the OK Boomer rant.
Which we have the audio for, by the way.
Yeah, you'll hear that in a little bit. Is Serena Williams coming back to tennis? I'll believe that when it actually happens, that she's on a court on TV playing. More RSN collapse, which is par for the course for Major League Baseball right now. In your neck of the woods, the bidding for the Padres
starting to kind of heat up finally.
And then the $100,000 headset, which
okay,
you and I were speculating, was that kind of like an NIL or like money in disguise for the school? So we have a lot to get to. No guest today for the first time in a couple of shows. I was telling Cowan this is the toughest time of the year to get a guest right after the Super Bowl because everyone's either traveled to the Super Bowl or was at the Super Bowl. And a lot of people going East Coast to West Coast and back. It's just not a good mix. So, but we have a lot of big stories. So I think we should take the time to really break these down.
Oh, we got a lot, folks. We're going to kick things off, though, on a explosive note from the big game on Sunday. Prediction market Kalshi is now once again embroiled in another massive legal battle. This time, though, they have to face the CFTC over the Super Bowl halftime show featuring Puerto Rican superstar Bad Bunny, where, per reports, $47 million was wagered on whether or not rap artist Cardi B would perform. Kalshi ruled no because background dancing did not meet their definition of a performance. Matter of fact, Kalshi's CEO took to MSNBC's Squawk Box on Tuesday morning to defend the ruling. On the flip side, though, Nick, more importantly, a mere few hours after the NBA trade deadline came and went, Milwaukee Bucks superstar Giannis Antetokounmpo was named a minority owner, less than 1%, of Kalshi, where, again, we know that his trade potential was on the market. And then the announcement came out within an hour of the trade deadline going away. So I think, Nick, we have the audio real quick here from the Kalshi CEO. Fill people in, though, about what we're about to see here for the next couple of minutes.
So you and I were trying to make heads or tails of this interview, and I want to make sure I get the guy's name correct. So Tariq Mansour is the CEO of Kalshi, who went on Squawk Box to talk about the prop bet involved, or prop bets in general, around Bad Bunny and the halftime show. And then I started saying to you over the last couple days, can the NFL really reveal anything anymore, knowing that anything could be a prop bet now?
That and sadly, Nick, I think everybody in some way now gets the inside information.
And we're going to play this. Now, this is 7 minutes. We're going to have to stop in and out of this. And you and I were kind of doing that last night without the show being live at that point. But we're going to do it now. So here's the interview. If I can fix that. There we go. So here's the interview with the Squawk Box with the Kalshi CEO. And we'll stop because there's a lot to unpack here. So take a listen.
What he's going to do in the first thing. How are you making sure that as a marketplace, you are limiting the impact of a person who has control over the bet that you're placing or that you're offering, doesn't manipulate it either for their own gain by being able to place bets or being able to tell their friends and family what would go along with those lines. It's bizarre to me to be able to bet on these things and have someone who completely controls the outcome, and you don't know if they're betting or if their friends and family are betting on it.
Well, the insider trading risk is very real for a stock market as well, and has been real since the stock market has begun.
But I feel like we control that and we can trace it. The SEC can very quickly find out who profits, by how much, and they shut that down. Do you do the same thing on Kalshi?
We do the exact same thing on Kalshi. So as a regulated financial market by the CFTC, we have the same rules as the NASDAQ and the NYSE, and we have the same mechanism of enforcement. So the example you just made is amazing. I mean, we KYC our customers, so we know who the customers are when they onboard to Kalshi. Like when you onboard to a brokerage, we know their name, their address, their social security, oftentimes their ID. We know exactly who they are. And then, we have systems that detect any weird patterns of suspicious trades, just like the NASDAQ does. Then it goes to surveillance. We have an investigation staff that runs an investigation and checks who was behind the trade and what they were doing. And if they were doing something wrong and there was insider trading, the punishment goes from fines to referral to the CFTC for criminal prosecution. So the same exact rules, same exact mechanism. And actually, just last week, we beefed up our mechanism of surveillance. We just announced our new head of enforcement, Bobby. We hired Brian Nelson, who was the former undersecretary of financial intelligence, and created an audit committee that is going to oversee a lot of our measures around insider trading.
So, Tarek, here's a question for you, though. I'm going to give you a really complicated one. It's going to be fun, though. It's a fun, philosophical, but maybe practical question. Okay, so let's say you're a dancer for Bad Bunny, and you knew what the situation is, and then you made a bet. It sounds like that would be considered insider trading, right?
Can I call timeout for a sec?
Yeah.
Weren't there reports, though, Nick, that came out, I think, the day after the game that one of the performers in the tree costumes was wagering on the halftime show?
Yes, that was the report that had come out. Now, the example he's making is what you were saying now. Can a dancer on the show have insider information knowing that they're part of
the performance?
Part of the performance, and the answer is staggering. Take a listen.
Great question, and it is a little bit of a philosophical question. What is information and what is insider information, right? If you go park in front of a Walmart and count the number of people going in and out to estimate their sales, that's information. That's not.
What?
Thank you, Christy Wilson.
But wait a minute. Counting the people walking in and out of Walmart is getting information? Hey, what? Wait, it gets
an oddball comparison.
Wait, it gets better.
Insider information, right? If you're an executive at Walmart and have the numbers beforehand and you trade on that, that is insider information. But
no shit. What?
Tell me something I don't know. Water's wet, the sky's blue. Come on now.
But to compare it to people walking in and out of a Walmart? I mean, in a sense, he's technically right because that's not insider information, counting how many people walk in and out of Walmart. But,
Still non-public information. Same exact rules apply to a regulated exchange like Kalshi, right? So if you did research and you were in SF and you were, running around the stadium to try to get information about what song was going to get played, that's information. It's fair game to trade.
What?
How?
Wait a minute. He just said running around the stadium and finding out stuff is information. That's not insider information. What?
Yeah, if you're running in the 400 level, are you really getting insider information from the damn nosebleeds? I don't think so.
No. But you're inside the stadium.
You're inside the stadium, yes.
That means you are privy to insider information. Don't tell me that running around as a dancer, being on the level where the performance is being done, where it's being produced, that there's no insider information. Oh, Christy, you haven't heard anything yet because he.
Oh, wait, it gets better.
He dances around this answer like crazy, but to tell me that that this is public information and not insider information, like he lost me right there. But
let's continue.
If you had access to information that you're not supposed to reveal to the public, material, non-public information, you cannot trade on that.
This is not regulated the same way.
But this is why I wanted to raise the question with you, because most business executives recognize
what they can and can't say.
What's confidential, what's not confidential, and therefore they keep it within a very close circle. In the context of Bad Bunny, for example, the dancer may know the information, and whether that's
trees that
or whether they're right,
trees at the
all
thing.
of those people. But what I was going to say is, let's say there's a cameraman who was happens to be in the stadium during the rehearsals 2 hours early. And by the way, they have nothing to, they're not associated personally with the Bad Bunny scenario. That would be, you could argue, that would be like somebody at a hotel who sees a rehearsal of a CEO giving a presentation prior. Those guys would have normally probably had to sign NDAs by the company because they would be worried about these issues. But in the context of this, they probably wouldn't. And therefore, so how you think about that?
But just to add another layer to that context, what if it's his manager who knows the lineup and tells his girlfriend who tells her hair salonist? You can't go after his manager for sharing public information that's not, not something that needs to be regulated. You guys are the ones that are making bets.
It's either one of two cases. Either this information can be public, and that's okay, or it's information that cannot be public beforehand, and that's communicated to the staff, right? The cameraman or the dancer. The reason why you don't know what song is going to be played first, the reason that's not public and not everybody knows beforehand, it's a little bit of a surprise Super Bowl.
Yeah, but
what? So he's claiming that because people found out information, it was by coincidence?
Apparently so.
Tell me how that makes any sense whatsoever.
None of this makes any sense. This is ridiculous.
This is literally tiptoeing. Kalshi, Polymarket, these prediction markets, and yes, fuck you, Novig, too, was all insider information, okay? It's all putting out information to skirt the gambling laws so that they didn't have to be regulated, okay? Kalshi doesn't even try. Polymarket doesn't even try. They don't even try to regulate bets. The one thing you need to know about Kalshi and Polymarket is that they're markets. They're not real betting. This is what got me in trouble with Novig multiple times.
Correct.
Because I kept trying to say on our playback streams, oh, make this bet. And they yelled at me saying it's not a bet. I said, then what is it?
It's called the play, sir.
Right, but if I say go make this play, are you going to think automatically it's a bet or it's gambling?
People in California would, yes.
But I'm saying most of the country.
But most of the country, though, would be like, what? Huh? Play? Isn't it called a bet?
And that's the problem. This is what Mr. CEO over here is trying to skirt around the rules and not give you an answer. Basically, what Squawk Box is trying to say is, are you committing insider trading with all this information? And he won't give a clear answer.
But it's not non-material. It's not material information that can't be shared. You're making it that by putting it on this betting platform, but they have no obligation to say we're not going to tell anybody our opening lineup because there might be money made on this other place that's now betting on this. That's not the responsibility is not on them.
Well, the question here is basically, either, for example, if you're, work at the Fed, you're clearly not allowed to basically reveal the information beforehand. And
but this is not material. This is not information they can't. This is not crucial to a company that you say you've got to release this to everybody at the same time. My lineup, I can tell whoever I want what my lineup's going to be or which story I'm going to do the rest of these things. And you can't come back at me and come after me for that.
Well, if that's the position that people are basically,
material information.
If that's the position that people are taking, which is essentially this is non-material, it's non-material, non-public information. It's basically, it's okay to actually talk about which song is going to be played, or it's okay to be. To divulge a series of information beforehand, then that it's okay and it's totally fair game. And I agree with you in that case, right? And if
that just doesn't seem like a fair market trade. Like that seems like there's an advantage to people who have this information that there's no way you could go after them because this is not material information.
This has been an age-old question for all types of financial markets, right? Should the farmers be able to trade?
What does that have to do with anything?
Absolutely nothing.
So now he's going to make the claim, oh, well, farmers have information. Should they be allowed to trade? If you have access to, well, they call it in finance, you can't commit fraud. Like if you have insider information on a company, you can't use it to buy more of the stock. That's not how that works. Now, you see a lot of millionaires, billionaires who are willing to pay the $250,000 fine because that's nothing to them. But it's so ridiculous that he's basically saying if the information's out there, it's free game to do whatever you want with it.
Pretty much. It's like the Wild West.
On grain futures, because they have more information about the crops.
Questions.
And, we have answers to the questions in the Commodities Exchange Act.
But you're never going to be able to tell Bad Bunny he can't tell people what his lineup is because some unrelated entity is making bets on this that he has no relationship with.
Well, but if he can tell, and if he can tell people what the lineup is and that he wants to divulge that beforehand, that's fair game. And that.
What?
No way, dude. No way.
Whoa. Wait a minute. He just said that
this guy can't be serious right now.
So he's basically saying, oh, yeah, go divulge the lineup. That way people could have insider information and they can claim to make whatever money they want. Kalshi and Polymarket, and now I could say this because we had an experience with Novig, I would stay far away from prediction markets. And we learned a lot of information. We learned the good, the bad, and the ugly with prediction markets, that they're not legally very protectable. And look what happened. Novig is no longer in New York or California. Kalshi and Polymarket are starting to be taken out of some states because they can't be legally protected in case something bad happens. Look at the Cardi B situation where people, and I want to read the front office sports story that I sent to. Here it is. So Cardi B is a cautionary tale for prediction markets.
Yes.
Cardi B was dancing and singing as part of Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime show on Sunday. Whether the cameo counts as her performing is a topic of much debate on prediction market platforms Kalshi and Polymarket. First of all, this bet should not even be allowed. More than $47 million was put on Kalshi's market for who will perform at the big game. Kalshi declined to share specifics on how much of that total was placed on Cardi B. Gee, I wonder why you're not sharing the information. What? Maybe because a lot of people put money on it? On Polymarket, there was just under $10 million placed on who will perform. So that's almost $60 million between Polymarket and Kalshi.
Oh, my God.
Who for bets placed on who would perform at the halftime show. The 10 million figure comes only from Polymarket's international side. Its U.S. app had only one Super Bowl market on which team could win. But Kalshi had it, though. So Polymarket only had one market. But Kalshi apparently had it all.
Weird.
Of the 10 million, more than 5 million was put on Cardi B. Although it's not clear how much of that total was traded on yes, she would perform versus no, she would not. It's amazing how they won't give the information after the fact, but they're willing to put the market up beforehand for these prediction market sites so people can degenerately gamble on stupid shit. But
I mean, my goodness gracious.
The way both markets were resolved has frustrated some traders, as first reported by Dustin Gauker in his Event Horizon newsletter. At least one user filed a complaint with the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. That's the one that goes after the prediction markets.
Right.
The federal regulator charged with policing prediction markets over the way Kalshi handled the situation. On Kalshi, it's important to read the fine print. Under Kalshi's rules, singing and dancing counted as a performance.
She happened to be dancing.
But just dancing in the background did not. What? Although Cardi B appeared to be singing, it's possible she was simply mouthing the words. What? But how do you prove that?
Yeah, how can you prove that?
A person familiar with how Kalshi handled the market tells Front Office Sports. Because of the ambiguity, Kalshi settled the market at its last traded price. Now remember, Kalshi and Polymarket prediction markets, they can't be betting apps because they're not regulated. They're being traded as, like, if you went to the stock market, like you and I have, and we have portfolios.
And as the CEO mentioned at the top of the Squawk Box interview yesterday.
Right. So Kalshi settled the market at its last traded price, which is determined to be fair value, which I don't even know how you can determine a fair value on something that we're not even getting the right answer to in technicality. Well, that means people who traded no on Cardi B performing took home 74 cents for each dollar traded.
What?
What?
While those who traded yes got the other 26 cents.
All that for chump change.
Kalshi's determinations are made by a markets team that includes lawyers, former traders, and market experts, although further specifics were not disclosed.
So literally they got enough money to pay the parking meter in New York City or at Balboa Park in San Diego is what you're getting at.
Oh, that wouldn't even pay the meter in New York City.
Hey, Minnie, Christmas.
But first of all, and like Nick D was just trying it out just to see what it was so he could come back and kind of report the research, so to speak. And he said that the app was confusing as shit. And it made no sense whatsoever. And I said, dude, it's like trading on a stock market. You're not winning a bet.
Yeah.
But usually for stock market, the real stock market, which I have a decent sized portfolio in,
I'm building one.
There's no yes or no answer determining whether you're going to go higher up or lower. It's however the market is trading is determined value. So how can making a bet, a play, whatever bullshit you want to call it at this point, what? You're telling me a yes or no answer is determining how much money you get, not what you put down?
I guess.
On Polymarket, the rules around Cardi B market were less robust. Initially, the site simply said the market would resolve to yes if Cardi B performs live and in person, which is technically what happened.
Technically, she did.
And that otherwise it would resolve to no. At some point, Polymarket added a note with, quote, additional context. I love when they put those notes in after the fact.
Disclaimer.
Saying that a qualifying performance included participation in the halftime show without singing, so as long as the aforementioned criteria are met. Okay, so that means that should have been a winner.
After reviewing the performance, it has been determined that Cardi B did not actually perform her duties as scheduled by simply being in the background. Though she was dancing, we are voiding the play. It'll be San Diego basketball out of bounds.
God, we need what's his name again? I forgot his name.
Bill Kennedy.
We need Bill Kennedy to give us a resolution on this on this review. Disputes are debated and voted on by the holders of the UMA crypto token. During the debate period, Polymarket users can contribute evidence to the discussion on the UMA Discord server. And once token holders cast votes, whichever side of the debate gets a majority vote is the winner. In this case, a final decision is expected by the end of the day or end of today, actually. This is ridiculous. Like, you cannot be serious.
Okay, McEnroe.
But that's what this feels like.
I mean,
and it gets worse because we have now an NBA player involved.
And Nick, that kind of went to a point, though, that we've brought up, though, a couple times. And I'm sure D-Mart has touched this, too, on either on UW or even on MTGP. And I think you and I have both said, I think probably you have more than I have here on PR, is if you are a sports gambler, as D-Mart and Liam are, in a good way with how they go about their business, because they do it the right way. You do it the right way. I did it the right way, though, when we did have the infamous Novig deal on playback. But why would you, though, if you are a betting man or a gambler, as Kenny Rogers once wrote a song about back in the day?
Good song, too.
Why in the HE double hockey sticks would you even try your damnedest to work or wager, bet, play, kiss my ass on a marketplace, Nick, like Kalshi and Polymarket, when they're in litigation right now? Why take that chance and take that literal gamble or that risk?
Is the juice really worth the squeeze, as they say in the in that saying? No, of course not. It's a matter of people are looking for gambling rush and they want to be involved and do all this stuff. But we got to talk about the Giannis part too, because
that part that thing is weird. The timing though cannot be any more impeccable.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Where do you want to start? And then I'll try to answer the questions for this that you might have.
Well, let's see. I mean, I don't think there was really a question with the Giannis part of it, but I think, Nick, to fill people in, though, obviously there was a play market on Giannis's trade value or him just being traded in general from the Milwaukee Bucks. We know that it had been a very big story. It gained more steam and momentum as the team was losing. Giannis had another re-aggravation of the calf strain injury, and there was a live market on Kalshi. Yes or no, is Giannis going to get traded? And I think it had a lot of increased play on it. And then within the hour before the deadline was going to hit, the Bucks pulled him off the market. And even put out a yawning emoji like our man Brent Hoffman Jr. did with Novik when he clapped back at us for no damn reason with the Novik statement when we severed ties with them on ETB. And then within the hour after the deadline passes, this weird, awkwardly timed ad campaign begins saying, "My name's Giannis, and now I own 0.1% of Kalshi."
Well, it's just less than 1%. We don't know what it is.
1%, yes, but still.
First of all, I've given my opinion to you on this multiple times, and I stand by it, which is professional athletes should not be allowed to own any percentage, anything of gambling companies. I don't care what it is. I don't care that it's Kalshi, Polymarket, DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM. I don't care what it is.
Underdog, Price Picks.
Right. How is that not a conflict of interest? Owning any percentage at all of something that's involved in gambling, considering we just came off a huge gambling scandal inside the NBA. How?
And Nick, that went to a tweet that I shared with you last night that I think you even were like, this is so damn true, like bullseye, spot on. It literally was, the tweet read, "The NBA is more concerned about the Utah flipping Jazz, 20 games under 500 with 17 wins, benching their entire team to tank for a better lottery pick than they were about the gambling scandal that shocked the entire sports world back in October." They have more of a problem with the on-court product because teams like the Kings and Jazz choose to hold out all their players to tank better for better draft picks. They're more worried about the what's up to the integrity of the game BS argument than they are about gambling within their own league.
Again, they should not be able to, professional athletes should not be able to own any percentage in sports betting, prediction markets, gambling companies in any way, shape, or form. It should not be allowed. Because how do you stop potential conflict of interest from happening? You don't think that the timing was a little bit odd that after his trade market was settled on Kalshi, that it was announced that he is now a shareholder of said prediction market, which coincidentally everyone was trading on the value side that he was going to get traded somewhere else, and now he's not traded and they lose a bunch of money because of it? That's fishy.
So, Nick, before we move on here to talk more NBA basketball, which gambling or betting story now is worse? The NCAA putting out the announcement hours after the opening shot was fired and the gambling scandal arrest made, or a Giannis announcing the Kalshi partnership an hour after the trade deadline for the NBA? Or are they both equally bad?
I mean, I think they're both bad for separate reasons, but I would say the Kalshi one is probably worse because there was a full market put up for whether Giannis was going to get traded, and there was a lot of money put on whether, and a lot of people bet on Giannis demanding a trade and going to another team, and then he doesn't leave, which means a lot of people lost money. and then gets announced as a shareholder right afterwards.
Literally an hour after the trade deadline passed. Yeah.
Now, you could say the stupidity of the NCAA coming out and say, oh, well, we'll allow our guys to make bets if they want. Right after a gambling scandal took place in the NBA, that's more stupidity than timing.
Yeah.
The timing on the Kalshi thing with Giannis was just terrible. Terrible timing.
Yeah. I agree.
That's why I would say the Kalshi one is probably worse.
I'd probably say the Kalshi one too. I mean, I think it was more utter stupidity versus poor timing on this part for sure. Okay, Nick, massive bombshell drop last night. We watched a high majority of the episode, but we are now back, Nick, recircling on the Kawhi Leonard Clippers salary cap circumvention scandal because Pablo Torre, alongside our good man David Sampson and the rest of the crew, have dropped more findings late on Tuesday that finds with the findings alleging the massive salary cap circumvention scheme by the LA Clippers. Torre's reporting now details alleged no-show jobs and side payments made to those close to Kawhi Leonard, including his former trainer Randy Shelton, and of course Uncle Dennis Robertson, to bypass the NBA salary cap restrictions, following years of rumors regarding the board man and the Clippers' recruitment tactics. Nick, if the NBA does prove that Steve Ballmer was essentially running a black ops payroll to land Kawhi, does the NBA have the backbone now to strip the Clippers of draft picks? Or is the potential fine, and we even discussed this last night, just the cost of doing business for the world's richest owner in the game?
See, we were debating over the Robert Sarver situation.
Which was, by the way, folks, a $10 million fine.
And then, obviously, you have the other Clippers situation with Donald
Sterling, which was, I think, $2.5 billion.
Well, that you mean what he sold, but yeah. I think he fined $2.5 million.
$2.5 million,
yeah. Here's the problem. So you're circumventing a salary cap, which hasn't been done since 2003 with the Minnesota Timberwolves.
26 years.
I mean,
2000.
Right.
Yeah.
And they got docked, 4 or 5 draft picks and got fined?
I think they got 4 draft picks, and the team got fined, and Glenn Taylor, the then owner, got suspended for a year, as did GM Kevin McHale, I believe, too.
And I think they got like a $3 million fine or a $3.5 million fine, I think. But you have to look at these situations and figure out what went down. The amount of evidence that we've watched when Pablo Torre finds out and the amount of testimonies that they've gotten.
I mean, he literally had David Sampson hold up like the 500-page lawsuit, I think, that was filed by former Aspiration employees.
Yeah. First of all, I'm more of the belief now that Aspiration was a fake company being used to circumvent the cap to give Kawhi Leonard the money so that it didn't end up on the cap, which means there wouldn't be as much money. They wouldn't get penalized as much when it came to making sure he got his money. But at the same time, in the reports, there was a lot of shell company LLCs being used to circumvent, allegedly, the NBA cap. So, again, this is not workplace violence or workplace disturbances like Robert Sarver or Donald Sterling with alleged sexual abuse and
racial remarks made about Elgin Baylor and Magic Johnson,
which I think Sarver made racial remarks too.
Sarver was accused of toxicity in the workplace and similar things, and he got popped with a $10 million fine, and he also sold the franchises, both the Suns and Mercury, to your boy Matt Ishbia.
So, and that's the other thing I brought up too. So, is it really a punishment that they get fined a few $1 million? Okay, they reach into their pocket, they do that.
Yeah.
But the company gets sold, or not the company, the franchise gets sold.
Yes.
And they make that money.
They do.
So, is it really a punishment that oh, sorry, I made racial remarks. Oh, sorry, sexual abuse. I treat women unfairly. but I get to sell my team for billions of dollars, and I get to live the rest of my life out.
Nick, it's interesting. Last Monday, me and one of my coworkers went to Intuit Dome to watch the Clippers play the 76ers. I mainly went to check out the arena. I worked for a couple of games with the Clippers minor league club in Ontario, California, and they also have come here to San Diego. And that's kind of where my NBA fandom is kind of gone, because I wasn't alive when the Clippers played here back in the when they left in 84, and how the NBA even said you can't move the team, and Sterling still did so because that was in wake of the Al Davis antitrust lawsuit that was going on with the NFL. But, going to Intuit Dome, I mean, the arena is beautiful, and what Ballmer has tried to build for a franchise, Nick, as I said way back on episode 2 of Small Market Edition, they might be playing in a big market city, Nick, but they have been. I mean, if you looked up the definition of small market franchise, the Clippers and Buffalo Braves have to be the first pictures you see, because as I even wrote to in the Mr. Small Market Substack, I asked my mom and dad, lifelong San Diego natives, lifelong residents, about why did this team not succeed in San Diego? And, even doing my own research, there was, money problems, the roster sucked, and people here didn't care about the NBA unless they played the Lakers, Philadelphia, the Knicks or the Celtics. And, it's a shame that this is probably where it is, where I'm of the belief that we'll hear something probably a week after the All-Star game, which is ironically enough at Intuit Dome this weekend in Inglewood, California.
You're telling me that's not a coincidence?
It's not a coincidence. But Nick, we even looked over what potentially the NBA could do when it comes in wake of Pablo's recent findings. So ranked from harshest penalties to soft penalties and even best case scenarios. And we talked about this again last night as we were in the, day before huddle for the show. The nuclear option, Nick, is what they're calling the Joe Smith tier, named after the Joe Smith incident that occurred in 2000 with the Timberwolves. If the league does find clear evidence of a premeditated scheme to bypass the salary cap, the Clippers could be forced to forfeiture multiple first-round draft picks, perhaps void Kawhi's contract, pay a $7.5 million fine, and even see key members of the organization like Lawrence Frank or Ballmer serve a 1-year NBA suspension.
Again, it's not going to happen. They're not going to suspend Ballmer. They're not going to do anything. It's basically going to become... That's basically what it's going to become, a slap on the wrist.
Which I am of the belief, and we even said that, where would the number be for the fine? We both kind of said maybe about $7 million, because it'd be like a one, because I think the breakdown was what, $28 million in total, and it was like a $7 million payment for Kawhi, supposedly underneath what we had heard from Pablo last night.
Well, we're talking about that they put $28 million. Well, he invested $50 million into the account, and everyone's saying that's the money that is being used
to pay for, to get Kawhi.
Allegedly circumvent the cap. Now, I said to you, they'll never do this as a punishment, but if they really want to make a statement to avoid this issue happening again, they should fine, or actually not even fine, take the $28 to $30 million
and have it be like dead money on the contract or on the books.
I'm talking about because this has been going on since when? We said 2019. So
basically since Kawhi came to LA from Toronto after he won a championship.
So we're 7 years into this nonsense already. You want to make a statement? I would take $28 to $30 million. Make them take a $28 to $30 million penalty cap hit for the next 7 years.
Nick, in tier 2, they're calling this the aggressive deterrent tier. If the NBA, to what you were saying, wants to send a message without dismantling the team, they could force the Clippers for forfeiture of their 1 to 2 first-round picks, which they don't really have enough of because they're all with Oklahoma City. They could lose out on the mid-level exception roster spot and also face salary cap penalties, which goes to your point, forcing the Clippers $28 million or a portion of it to count against the Clippers' current salary cap, likely pushing them into even more punitive luxury tax tiers or even restrictions for crossing the apron of the salary cap.
Well, I'm saying literally that it's a penalty cap hit, like it's taken off the top. Forget that it's whether it's dead money or not. I'm saying So whatever the number is, just say you have 28 million less for the next 7 years.
Pull it off the cap, exactly.
Which means you're in cap hell automatically because you're an idiot who decided to circumvent with a tree-hugging love company on the side, and they tried to sign it. And we saw all these reports last night that apparently Aspiration signed a $300 million deal with the Clippers, which how could they have $300 million? Apparently they
had
bankrupt.
sponsorship. They had sponsorship of the team. They had their name on the corporate partners, like founding members of Intuit Dome. I think, you know, how they put like those ads on the, like those seat covers.
Yeah.
They had, I think, ads for that courtside. They had some ads around some of the ribbon boards.
It was up on the boards too.
On the boards. Yes, they did.
So something's not adding up, whatever that is. It literally sounds like a fake shell company, allegedly, that they were using to hide money. Yeah. And finally, these Aspiration employees are speaking out and say, something doesn't look right here. We need to investigate this. And to be honest, even if you say you fine him or not fine him, but cap them for $28 million a year, the guy's Steve Ballmer's worth $150 billion. Do you think
richest man in the game?
Do you think he cares about 28? Well, let me take that back. He probably does care about $28 million, but
it's 28 change to him.
But $28 million to him and $28 million to us is a different scenario, different
here,
world.
And then it's here.
But I don't know how you fix this. Like I said, I would take $28 million off the cap for the next 7 years each. They're not going to do it because the MBPA is going to step in and say, well, that's money that could have gone to the players, blah, 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 blah. We're not going to.
Yeah, and I said that they'll probably file a grievance.
And that's the other thing. And I'm glad you brought that up too, which is, are we really going to get a players association that's going to file a grievance in favor of Kawhi Leonard? And also, if they file a grievance, does that mean that they agree with what Steve Ballmer and the Clippers are doing?
That is another thing that you have to kind of keep in mind, though, if they do, in fact, file a grievance.
And the other thing, the issues with money laundering and fraud, which nobody is talking about here.
Which I believe, Nick, that the lead guy that Ballmer was working with, I think Joe Sandberg was his name.
Yes.
Has already pled guilty to, I think, laundering and fraud, I want to say, for the company.
Yes. But no one's talking about how money is illegally being moved and used fraudulently to avoid a cap situation. I mean, look what happened with the FTX situation with all the players.
Yeah, and the Miami Heat Arena, naming rights.
So, again, this is not the first time we're seeing this type of scenario when it comes to the NBA, and whether it's cheating, whether it's FBI federal investigations going on of trying to steal money from people using X-ray glasses and goggles and shit. And I don't know what's happened to the NBA over the last decade.
I was just going to say, Nick, this has to be one of the most chaotic years off the court, though, in recent memory of us being basketball fans. I mean, this has to be.
And Adam Silver's acting like
nothing's happened because, well, look at all the media right deals we just scored. Whoop, a la-ti-da.
Well, Tom and I used to say this on ETB Sports all the time. Hear no evil, see no evil.
No evil, speak no evil.
Right. Like, oh, the money's still coming in? Oh, okay. As long as it's not affecting our bottom line, it's the Roger Goodell approach to money.
Yeah.
Where you basically say, oh, well, as long as it's not affecting our dotted line at the end, we don't care if
I mean, come on. I got to go to an NBA game though at that arena for $20. You know how hard it is to get a $20 ticket to an NBA game nowadays?
Impossible, probably. But it's like Rogers probably said, oh, well, we made what, 17 million, 18 million, or 18 billion, sorry, 17 billion, 18 billion. Oh, we don't care if Deshaun Watson's sexually abusing women.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
Like, I'm trying to think of, but that we have a domestic violence problem right now going on in the NFL with that is, what's his name? Pierce, the Falcons player.
And his girlfriend happens to be a WNBA player who now, like, basically had to quit on the season because of the trauma she's gone through.
Rakia Jackson, which that's a whole nother situation in itself that we'll have to talk about at some point. But I don't know how you fix this. But the only way you fix it is you hit the owner in the pockets in a massive way where they will not do this again. But the problem is these owners are so goddamn rich that they're willing to take the penalties to benefit on the other end. It's like the stock market in real life. Mark Cuban's actually been hit before for insider trading. We're having information on the stock market, but the fine was $250,000.
You made it back in a week. Give me a break.
Well, it's not even making it back. He's worth so much goddamn money that these guys are willing to pay the fines. Think about that in our heads for a second as fans. I'm willing to pay the $250,000 fine to do the illegal thing if it only costs me money and nothing else.
Yeah.
How about suspend the team? That's never going to happen.
No.
Can you imagine, like, if they did like what went on in college football, where if you get caught doing shit, you were deemed ineligible for the playoffs or the bowl games?
That'd be something.
I would propose that. Hey, if we find that you're guilty for circumventing the cap with that much money, you're ineligible for the playoffs the next 4 years, 5 years. Now,
that'd be interesting.
I don't think Adam Silver would do that because it's an LA team. I don't think. Let's look at it this way. In conclusion, that New York, LA, Boston, Philadelphia,
Chicago,
they're never going to get in trouble because they're the big markets in all these
which
sports.
Went to my point last segment about the NBA's more concerned about it. The NBA was more, up in arms and throwing bitch fits about the Utah Jazz, the 17-win Utah Jazz and the 15-win Sacramento Kings not playing their star players in a meaningless game on Tuesday than they were about gambling happening on their watch back in October and with all this stuff with the Clippers.
And that's exactly right. That if you're a big market, you get away with far more shit than like a small market gets away with because, it looks like the small market team is trying to gain an advantage over everybody. But what do you think the big market team is doing?
Exactly.
Look what the Dodgers are doing right now. People say, it's just they're willing to spend more money. Is it, or is it a structural advantage?
Structural advantage.
And I know
you're not telling me anything new.
And David Sampson was on with us 2 weeks ago now, who said it like, he's right. In technicality, are they breaking any rules? No, they're not. But in the long run, they're taking advantage of power that most other teams don't have.
Correct.
And the Clippers are doing the same thing. They're taking advantage because the guy's worth $150 billion and he has access to all these different things that most people do not.
Exactly. All right, Nick, back to college basketball. Hallelujah. Some order has been restored as officially earlier in the week, Alabama center Charles Bediako, the one-time former NBA G League star, his attempt to stay on the court has now been blocked. A judge has denied his injunction request, meaning he is no longer eligible to play for Alabama basketball this season. We, of course, Nick, talked about this earlier on in the last couple of weeks about how I saw this firsthand with Santa Clara University men's basketball with Cherry Darlin, who used to play for the Delaware Bluecoats, and also how we even heard the judge in the case ruled him eligible because they were an Alabama donor and then had to recuse himself from the case. But Nick, after the recent wave of players winning eligibility battles in state courts, does this ruling now signal that the NCAA is finally, hopefully, regaining some control over their own rule book? Your thoughts?
This is 100% right. Finally, the NCAA got something right. Well, I don't know if it's really technically the NCAA. It's the courts that got it right.
The courts got it right more than the NCAA because Charlie Baker, again, literally said, we are not going to grant eligibility to anybody who went there, to our point last week, who took those 2 steps forward and then took 50 steps backwards to come back to college.
First of all, once you enter the NBA and you play on any court, I guess technically if you're just in the G League, it means you're technically not NBA eligible technically yet.
Unless you get the call up, yeah.
But I think they need to change that rule. I think once you get drafted by the NBA, that's your end of any eligibility.
Yeah. Look at the NFL. Look at Major League Baseball.
That would plain and simple stop this BS issue from going on. And To be honest, it should have never happened. In the further, we'll give him an injunction until we figure it out. No, there's rules that state that once you get drafted and are officially part of an NBA organization, you can't go backwards.
Correct.
So why was this allowed?
Well, I mean, part of it, I think, Nick, was what we had said, though, when we first broke the story about Bediako going back to Alabama. The original judge of the case, who was overhearing Charles's case to come back and play because of his time in the NBA G League with either the Spurs or Pistons, the judge was a donor to the university athletic department, which, again, was like, hey, this is bias here, ruling in favor of a guy because he's going to, make you more money after you donate all the money that you have given to Alabama athletics. And then he was told you need to recuse yourself because there could be potential bias here. And finally, there's been some order restored, literally and figuratively, in the court of law now for the NCAA in favor of them.
I get it. I don't know what the judge was thinking.
Who knows?
In this situation when it comes to allowing, not allowing. But this is politicking at its best. I mean, we're dealing with an NIL situation. Now, I have no idea if this is an NIL situation, but I know what it clearly is.
I don't think it is with NIL, but just mainly about the eligibility of him because he went to the draft and then played for a bit in the G League and may have gotten a call up to either San Antonio or Detroit.
But why do you need to go backwards? That's still the scenario I'm not understanding. With you got drafted by the NBA, okay, you're not a star, but try to make it in the NBA. I mean, that's the significance of this problem that I don't understand. Which is, okay, you got drafted. You're in the NBA. It's fantastic. You made it. But now you want to go back to school? Why would you want to go back to school? That you're not NIL eligible.
But is he actually going to school, though, Nick, when we literally talked about Carson Beck the week of the national title game saying, oh, I don't have to go to class tomorrow. I graduated 2 years ago.
Well, that's a totally different issue. I don't know how to fix that, but first of all, he shouldn't have been allowed to be collecting NIL anymore. So he kind of admitted the quiet part out loud that the rules are flawed when it comes to the college sports eligibility and also the NIL nonsense that we're dealing with. And I'm going to say it now again loudly. NIL needs to be gone from college sports. And I don't care. Throw tomatoes at me. I really don't care. NIL is ruining college sports. It is.
I mean, I think I heard a story. There's a guy who got granted his 11th year of college eligibility, I think, to play at Montana for football next season, I want to say. But I forget if it's 8, 9, 10, or 11 years now for eligibility to play college football.
I think that was a Sentinel post you might have seen, because I saw that too. Would I be surprised though if that was the case? No,
because we see 8 and 9 year seniors for some reason nowadays.
Look at Trinidad Chambliss, who was trying to fight for a 7th year of eligibility and tried to go fight it in the court.
Because he said, well, I played 2 years at Ferris State. I had a red shirt. I had the COVID year. I had this loophole. I had that loophole, so on and so forth.
Dude, just admit you want the NIL money because you're not going to make it in the NFL. That's what you're admitting by trying to pull this bullshit off. That basically what's happening is that, oh, well, I'm never going to make it to the NFL. I'm desperate for the NFL money. But if I go back to college, maybe I'll get that money via NIL if I break the rules or try to go to court and sue the NCAA to say, oh, well, I didn't get my fair rights for a 4-year university and I should be able to make NIL money and blah, 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 blah. Shut up.
Yeah, I mean, we are such a long ways away, I think, from any of this NIL stuff being resolved because It'll be more of a thing. I mean, I don't know, Nick, if NIL's more of the problem, if the portal's a problem, or if they're all equally guilty here, honestly.
I think all sides are guilty, and I don't know how we fix it either, because the NIL has now caused people to act irrationally in some regards when it comes to certain situations of, do we pay this? Do we pay that? Who gets paid this? Do I go to the NFL? Do I not go to the NFL? I'm going back to college. And I don't buy the fact that I was trying to look it up if Bediako is getting any money. And I can't find any stories of him getting money.
I don't know then. I mean, it was actually funny, Nick, because Candace Parker hosts a podcast with Aaliyah Boston on YouTube and Spotify. Candace even admitted, and she's like in her early 40s, she says, hey, I got one more year at Tennessee. Who's not to say that somebody who has the eligibility, even at that age, goes back and tries to play one more year of their sport?
Okay, so I just found new information. Charles Bediako signed an NIL deal upon his return to the University of Alabama for the 25-26 semester.
Of course he did.
While specific financial figures of the deal were not publicly disclosed, it was part of his legal argument to regain eligibility after playing in the G League, with reports indicating he was also receiving revenue share from the school.
Which went to my earlier point that the case then, in a way, went like sour milk for the fact of the judge in charge of the Bediako case initially was a donor to the Alabama athletic department, and he was told, you, sir, your honor, you must recuse yourself of this because of bias with what you have with your financial dealings with Alabama athletics.
Yeah, and there's more information here. It says Bediako, who left for the NBA draft at 23, sought to return to Alabama, arguing that the modern NIL landscape would have made staying in college financially viable. Despite the new NIL deal, Tuscaloosa County Circuit Court judge denied a preliminary injunction on February 9th, ruling him ineligible to play for Alabama due to his previous professional contracts. His legal counsel argued that prohibiting him from playing while allowing other professional athletes with G League experience to compete was unfair, highlighting the complexities of NIL and eligibility. Well, no duh. I want this gone. I want NIL gone. It has done a disservice more than I thought it was going to do. I thought this was actually going to show recognizable value for players because their names are being used in a freaking video game that the NCAA was making. That was the reason why NIL was created.
And instead, it's been a very much uncapped situation, no real ruling, no real jurisdiction, no law and order with it. And it's caused more headaches and problems than it has resolved anything worth noting at this rate.
I don't know how you fix it. I sound like a broken record, but I don't know how you fix it because when it comes to the situation of NILs and now stupidly it's caused a guy who was in the G League and potentially could have made his way to the NBA now back to a college team where now we find out he signed an NIL deal. First of all, how do you become eligible once you get drafted to go back for an NIL deal?
Yeah, how do you? How's that possible?
I mean, that also goes to show you that NILs are really just contracts in disguise. They're really not anything that differentiates as a college contract as opposed to something that's supposed to be professional when you make it to the professional level.
Correct.
So this whole thing is messed up. This whole situation, and you can thank the NCAA partially, even though they try to play victim in this whole scenario.
So, Nick, again, we thank our trusty friends at Google Gemini. Here are ways that we could to fix the remaining instability in NIL. In NIL, experts and governing bodies are pursuing the following 5 ways to somehow get a stranglehold on NIL lawlessness. I'll run through these really quickly. Option 1, direct revenue sharing. Following the landmark House v. NCAA settlement, schools can now pay athletes directly from a shared revenue pool of $20.5 million per school for this school year, providing a stable, transparent salary that reduces the reliance on unprecedented and predictable third-party boosters and collective insights. Way number 2, centralized oversight, which is the NIL Go platform. Any and all third-party deals over $600 must now be reported to the CSC, which is the College Sports Commission, via the NIL Go clearinghouse. The CSC audits these deals to ensure they represent fair market value and are not disguised pay-for-play recruiting inducements. Option 3 is employment status and collective bargaining. Active litigation, for example, Johnson v. NC2A seeks to classify athletes as school employees, which could allow for a CBA enabling athletes to negotiate standardized contracts, health benefits, and non-compete clauses that could stabilize the transfer portal. Option number 4 is uniform federal legislation, which is Congress is currently debating the College Athletics Reform Act, or the House Bill 6350 and the SCORE Act. These bills will aim to create a single national standard for NIL, replacing the current patchwork of conflicting state laws and giving the NCAA with a limited antitrust exemption for enforcing rules. And finally, contractual enforceability. New revenue sharing contracts often include buyout clauses or loyalty provisions. If an athlete transfers shortly after signing a lucrative deal, they may be legally required to pay back a portion of the money, discouraging portal hopping, which has been a trend over the last several years. There's no right answer.
No, I already told you what the right answer is. Screw NIL. I don't want it anymore. It doesn't benefit people anymore. It's messing with eligibilities and it's giving the players a little too much power.
And it's going to be crushing more mid-major schools that have to keep cutting programs because they can't compete with the NIL landscape now.
Well, yeah, that's a problem, but I don't know how you fix it.
Yeah, sadly, we don't. All right, Nick, over in tennis, is the Queen of the Court officially back? There is a lot of discussion right now that Serena Williams will be reinstated to professional tennis before the end of this month. She has officially completed her 6 months in the mandatory drug testing pool. The 23-time Grand Slam champion's return is no longer a rumor, but potentially reality. But, Nick, at the age of 44 years old, is Williams' return for a quest for one final Grand Slam run, or is this the ultimate commercial victory lap for the greatest to ever do it, though, for women's tennis? Your thoughts?
I'll believe it when I see it, when it actually happens. I don't know if she'll come back and actually play. I don't know if this is a stunt. I don't know what this is, to be honest. But tennis needs her. She doesn't need tennis. They needed to build brand. But she was the biggest one of the biggest names in tennis for over 20 years. I mean, also for USA Tennis, which has been struggling slightly. Yeah, I don't know if I buy this just yet. She went on, what was it? Was it the Today Show, I think? And actually was talking to Savannah Guthrie, actually.
Ironically enough, sadly, and we're still keeping an eye on that story, too, for those that are wondering.
Yeah. And she kept kind of like bouncing around the answer on whether she would come back or, oh, well, I never said anything about coming back. I'm like, no, you could come back. Come on. But she's 44 years old. That's pretty old for a tennis player.
Nick, I was just going to say, because I know that we've talked a lot about this on Olympics from the bench the past couple nights because of Lindsey Vohn's injury. And we can confirm that she did have her third and final surgery on the leg today over in Italy. And all is going according to plan with her recovery. But again, Nick, I know that I had said on Friday on OFTB that when Lindsey Vonn said that she was going to compete still despite the ripped ACL, I was like, girl, go for it. I know you're 41 years old, but you've worked too damn hard to make it a comeback after 6 years of being away from the games or however long it was when you did retire for one last, hoorah. But why, though, Nick, do I feel like, though, that this doesn't sound like it's a good idea, because I know that I even said on Sunday after Vaughn's injury, I look like a total idiot and dumbass for saying, go for it. Then of course, what happens with the injury that she suffered over the course of her event on Sunday. But Nick, I don't know though about Serena. Being 44 years old, man, is something else. At that age and having to play though. Can the body withstand, though, Nick, a wild card entry for the U.S. Open, for example, or Wimbledon or the French Open? I sadly don't think so.
I feel like, and I hate saying this because I don't see her this way, but I feel like this is more a publicity stunt than a real.
I mean, I can agree that to an extent.
Because again, and I think Christy said it best just now a second ago, that she really has nothing left to prove. What does she have to prove? I mean, I'll look up her numbers again, because I just want to see how many majors, and she's got 23 majors, which is at the top of the list, I think, except for Margaret Court. I think might be the only. I want to look this up just to make sure. Women all-time tennis Grand Slams. Yes, Margaret Court has 24 and Serena has 23. Now,
so like in a way, could I make the very interesting comparison that this, in a way, feels like when Tiger Woods was chasing Jack Nicklaus all those years to try to tie or break the record for most number of major championship victories that he had on the golf course?
Yeah, but Tiger Woods kind of self-inflicted himself.
For sure.
Between the cheating scandal on his wife and crashing the car. I think he had multiple car crashes. And
well, he had the one recently that pretty much made him have to retire medically because of the injuries he sustained.
But I think he's had multiple crashes, though, right?
I think so.
Like, I don't know what happened to him, but like, he was this great guy, and then all of a sudden the cheating scandal happened, and that led to a whole question of his career at that point. And then everyone said, oh, well, he's going to pursue and break down the door of Jack Nicklaus's record. Well, that's never happening.
No, and sadly, I think same here with Serena.
Now, could Serena come back in a drop in the bucket and possibly win a major to tie the record? Anything's possible, right? I mean, and I want to look this up. Let's see, oldest women to win a Grand Slam. So, Martina Navratilova is the oldest woman to win a Grand Slam title, winning the mixed doubles at the 2006 U.S. Open.
Sheesh, 20 years ago.
At 49 years old.
Whoa.
Now, I don't know how you would compute doubles compared to singles. I think singles.
Yes.
Singles is way harder. You have to play the full game.
Oh, obviously, yeah.
Oldest tennis Grand Slam singles winner. Actually, ironically,
Serena Williams.
Serena Williams is the oldest woman at 35 years old.
Damn, 35?
To win a singles Grand Slam. So she would be shattering records of epic proportions if she came back at 44 years old and somehow was able to. Now, from what I understand, she's in much better shape now
than she was at one point recently.
She was always in good shape, but she was
no denying it. Yeah,
but she was a bigger woman, bigger female athlete. No offense, not saying anything, but I heard she's much thinner now. Now, does that mean she would play a different game? Because she's a much different. She'll always be a power hitter, always, because that was her game.
Right.
She out hit everybody. I think she was one of the first women on the tour to hit the serve at 100 plus miles an hour. Now you're seeing women hit serves at 100 miles an hour constantly. But that was unheard of back when she was in her prime.
Right.
On the tour. And sometimes she was hitting like 115, 120. Sometimes on first serves, which was that would be, right. And that would be the equivalent of like on the men's side hitting a 140 or a 145. So she broke a lot of barriers. She made tennis what it was. I mean, I don't like all the fashionista bull crap. I could care less about it. Like, I don't care about all the sponsored stuff. Like, I get it. I know it's part of the world of sports. You need sponsors and all this stuff. But does she really have to come back? No. She's done far more. She's made a lot of money. It's not a money issue. She's also married to Alexis Ohanian. Yes, the same one who helped with playback. They're doing fine. They have a few kids now. I feel like this is more, I'm bored. I need to go do something.
Yeah, I mean, is it maybe that thing, though, about, the itch coming back to play the game somehow, some way, and you try to scratch it? Is it a money grab? Is it, as you said, a PR stunt maybe to get back into the testing pool to come in to maybe play by the end of the month? Who really knows?
I mean, this is what Conor McGregor's doing right now to get on the UFC White House card. I mean, same thing. Now, Conor McGregor has been trying to get back on anything since, I mean, it's been what, like 5 years since he's fought, I think?
Maybe longer.
So now he had one more fight on his deal, but because the pay-per-view went away, that ripped up that deal, and now they're trying to rework it.
Yeah.
And he's going to be on the White House card. That's already been confirmed. So it's going to be weird seeing him for the first time in many years. By the way, in case anyone's wondering, that card comes up on June 14th, not July 4th, which originally it was planned to be. We'll do some coverage on that because that's a huge event. Like 250th year of the country, fighting on the White House property, which who would have thought that ever was going to happen?
Yeah, like a giant concert festival will be set up for like a giant watch party, like near the White House, I think, too, on Pennsylvania Avenue somewhere.
They're talking about like 80,000 people outside
at
a venue, and they're talking about like, I think they said they could hold anywhere between 3,500 and 5,000 people in the actual cage
facility. Yeah.
So
crazy.
We'll see what happens, but it's too soon to really know what Serena's going to do. I think this is more, all right, let me see if I get past the testing pool. She is, what's the name of that brand she's been going around with the shot thing?
The RO, was it RO, I think?
Yeah. RO. And supposedly, from what I read in the rules, weight loss stuff is not part of the drug testing. So is that a loophole that's being taken advantage of right now? I don't know.
Interesting.
But would I be happy to see her back playing? Sure.
Absolutely.
Would it be worth it for a year or two to see her back on? Is this like the Julio Franco of tennis? Like where he was going to play it? I don't think he actually made it to 50 though, right?
I think he was like a couple years short of playing it till he was 50.
I'll just look that up.
Also, he was like 48, maybe 47, 48.
Let's see. Age when retired. He was 49.
There you go.
He was the oldest player in baseball. He was also the best in shape I've ever seen for that age.
Yeah. Or Jamie Moyer, 45 years old, still pitching.
Yeah, but he was literally just throwing meatballs towards the end of his career. He was a knuckleball pitcher, though, right?
He might have. I don't think so, but he might have been.
Actually, the debate of who lasted longer,
Tim Wakefield or Jamie Moyer.
R.I.P. Tim Wakefield. But
yes.
Well, didn't Jamie Moyer have a record of beating every team in Major League Baseball?
I think he did.
And I don't know how he did it because I think he was with what, Seattle all those years?
Seattle, Philadelphia won a World Series there in 08.
Yeah, I want to see if that's
maybe 09. He was there too.
Jamie Moyer became one of the few pitchers in MLB history to defeat all 30 franchises, achieving this milestone in 2008 when his Phillies beat the Rockies. How many teams did he pitch for then?
Well, I know him with Seattle and with Philadelphia as the main two.
But I'm saying, how many teams would you have to play on? You would have to be on like at least 8 or 9 teams to make that happen, right?
Maybe.
I'm looking to see.
So he's pitched for the Cubs, Rangers, Cardinals, Orioles, Red Sox, Mariners, Phillies, and Rockies.
So how many is that?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams in his career.
There you go. I said 8 or 9 teams because there was no way he'd be able to do that unless he was on 8 or 9 teams. He's the oldest winner in Major League Baseball history in 2012 at age 49 to win a game. So think about that. Oldest hitter in baseball, Franco at 49. No one made it to 50, though.
Damn. So close.
Shucks.
And here we thought Brady was going to play till he was 50 in the NFL.
Who? Oh,
Brady.
Yeah, but that football's a lot tougher than baseball. You could literally stand on a field all day and do nothing.
Yeah. All right, Nick. Let's get to this very much interesting, awkward exchange with former Bengals quarterback Boomer Esiason, who went on his program and said that the NFL Players Association needs to and should ban California-hosted Super Bowls, coming after reports that Sam Darnold actually lost money playing in the Super Bowl on Sunday due to California's aggressive jock taxes and non-resident tax rates. Nick, we have the audio from Mr. Esiason. Go ahead and play that while I step out for a minute, though. But, this rant that he went on was beyond asinine and stupid.
For winning the Super Bowl, the winning team, each player gets $178,000. In other words, the Super Bowl isn't a part of their salary. And because the game was played in California, and California has a jock tax, and they look at duty days, so each team spends 7 days in the state of California. So those are 7 duty days, and they pierce your regular salary at 3.5%. So he has to pay, when you take into account he got the $178,000 plus his overall salary, he has to pay the state of California for spending 7 days there $249,000.
That's just so stupid.
Yeah, but it ends up costing him $71,000 to go play in California. Now, if I'm the NFLPA, now you got to remember, it's probably even more than that because since he's in Seattle, he's playing against San Francisco 49ers. So that's another day he's there. And he's playing against the LA Rams. That's another day he's there. So he's probably had like 9 or 10 duty days, or maybe even more than that in the state of California. So if I'm the NFLPA, I'm like, hey, we're not playing any more Super Bowls in California. We're just not doing it.
This is wild. So I get it. I understand where he's coming from. So the Seahawks, they're winning shares that they got. Each person on the team got $178,000 for winning the Super Bowl. And then you have what's called the jock tax in professional sports. And I'm just trying to look this up because I want to make sure I get the right information. So the jock tax in California. Here we go. California's jock tax is a high-stakes income tax applied to non-resident professional athletes and entertainers, calculated based on the duty days, which is what Boomer said, spent working in the state, using a top marginal rate of 13.3%. California takes a portion of a player's total annual salary, not just the income earned during their visit. So on top of the $178,000, they factor that number in, like Sam Darnold and the salary that he made on top of the $178,000. And they determined that he basically he owed $70,000 on top of the $178,000 that he was given. So that sparked a lot of debate over the jock tax. Now, I think Boomer's a little uninformed when it comes to the jock tax, because the jock tax is not just in California.
It's countrywide.
It's countrywide. So to say that the players should basically revolt against a Super Bowl in California whatsoever, which ironically enough, next year's Super Bowl is at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. So I understand where he's coming from, that it's not right these taxes, and what's the point of giving if they earn a bonus and then they got to pay money on top of it? But to blame it on California, I think, is taking it a stretch too far.
So, Nick, is Boomer Esiason right that California is becoming a no-fly zone for pro athletes, or is this another case of a wealthy commentator complaining about the cost of doing business in a premium market?
The no-fly zone thing is ridiculous. I mean, California, Los Angeles, is the number one market up there with New York where everything is done. Do you see celebrities complaining about a jock tax?
Or a celebrity tax?
Or a celebrity tax? I don't see the players really complaining about it, to be honest. They get enough endorsements, and now they're going to get even more now that they won a Super Bowl.
Right.
So I don't know if those players were really thinking about that bonus.
Hell no. They're trying to win a damn championship. Give
Well,
me a break.
I'm talking about even after the fact. Like, are they really thinking about that bonus after knowing that they won a title? Like, you won a title, for crying out loud. There's plenty of perks that come from,
of course,
winning a Super Bowl title. And I'm trying to look up the jock tax in New York because I'm just curious what the comparison is. All right. New York imposes a jock tax. Theirs is lower, actually, the percentage.
Yeah.
So California was 13.3. New York is 10.9.
Jeez.
So it is a little bit lower when it comes to the percentage and what it applies to. And again, same rules. New York determines tax liability based on ratio of duty days spent in New York to total duty days applied to the athlete's total compensation. It also includes salary, bonuses, and performance bonuses. New York State, particularly in New York City, has some of the highest combined state and local tax rates in the country, often exceeding 12%.
Sounds about right.
And it said, and the origin often referred to as Michael Jordan's revenge. This type of tax is a form of retaliation or reciprocal taxing stemming from the early 1990s.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
But Boomer, like, even though he's right in some aspects, he kind of misfired in the sense of blaming this on California. That's how I see it.
I mean, look, athletes are in the top 1% when it comes to taxes. You know where the common man in my state is? 10 to 12% of when it comes to the tax bracket. That's where I sit out here in San Diego, for those wondering.
God, the taxes are you and I are in two of the biggest tax percentage states.
I mean, I think, and yes, is it hometown, home state bias? Sure it is. But I mean, come on. You know why Super Bowls, Boomer, are held out here? The weather. It's simple as that.
Oh, I mean, you could still have bad weather in California, but like at the same time, like
it's raining and it's still 70 degrees and it's raining here today.
Well, yes, that too. But at the same time, I think Boomer's just reaching for straws in some aspects. Oh, well, all the most $70,000 tax because of duty-free.
Yeah, does anyone think out there, though, that $70,000 for a professional athlete is like something to like lose sleep over? No, they're fine. It's not going to kill them.
It is a dumb rule, though.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not a dumb rule, but they can again make all that money up that they're getting taxed on like within a week or two. It's not that big of a deal.
No, I get it, but the NFL is giving you share bonuses like they do in Major League Baseball in the playoffs.
Right.
And you're being taxed. You shouldn't have to pay to avoid the taxes if they're giving you money.
Right.
So I understand where he's coming from that standpoint. But to say, oh, well, we should kiss California goodbye for the Super Bowl. Like, it's never going to happen. It's not. Like, they gave up on New York because of the weather. I don't know if they're going to go back to New Orleans because of the hurricane.
They will because it's a dome. They're going to go to dome. They've long said it's always going to be a dome stadium, or it's going to be a warm weather climate like Florida and California.
Right, but I'm saying, you're going to run into this jock tax bull crap wherever you go.
Yeah. So why is it only an issue in California but not anywhere else?
I think it's just.
I know people hate the governor out here, but good Lord, give me a break.
I'm wondering if Boomer, just because it was in Santa Clara in California, if that was just a fire, like a fire in the chamber, just because it happened in California. I don't know, but it just didn't sound very intelligent from the not knowing that the jock tax is everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know Doug Gottlieb responded to it, but I think he deleted the tweet afterwards. And I'm trying to see if I can find it. Let's see. I don't see it currently, but basically
he listed all of the states that have the jock tax across the entire state or across the country.
Yes. And I'm trying to see. I don't know why he deleted it though. That's what kind of confused me.
Yeah, that is weird that would happen.
I'm trying to see if someone like either posted it or let's see if I can find anything on it. Oh, there are states without a jock tax, by the way.
Yes, but it's not that many, I don't think.
Did you know Florida didn't have a jock tax?
Doesn't surprise me they don't have a state income tax either.
I'm surprised they don't hold the Super Bowl more in Florida then. If that's the case. No?
I know, right? Well, by Boomer's logic, yeah.
So here, you want to know the states that don't have a jock tax?
Go ahead.
Alaska, Florida,
yeah.
Nevada, which means you could see the Super Bowl more in
Super
Vegas.
Bowl 62, 2028 is it going to be in Vegas? Yeah.
Okay, so the players are not going to lose money there.
Yeah.
South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Washington, and Wyoming.
That makes sense.
And it says additionally, Washington, D.C. is prohibited by federal law from imposing its income tax on non-residents.
Right.
So you might see more in Texas because that's a warmer climate.
Dome Stadium.
Florida and Nevada too. You might see those really. I'm wondering if the NFLPA will pay attention to this.
I doubt it because they'll still want to have games in California, because of SoFi being a dome stadium, and Santa Clara's been a great host for the Super Bowl when it has gone there the last several years, and times that it has gone there. So,
Christy says Montana has a jock tax. No, Montana. Oh wait, yes, Montana has a jock tax. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean the NFLPA is not going to agree to that because you're, as you said, Nick, if you say, oh, we're not going to go to California, you're losing the second biggest media market with two NFL teams and a brand new $8 billion stadium paid for by Stan Kroenke out of his damn pocket.
I'm going to read a tweet.
Not to mention NFL Network's headquarters are now in LA at SoFi Stadium for the West Coast.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was moved now that it's an ESPN entity, though.
I doubt it because ESPN wouldn't do that because they still have the ESPN studio in LA as is.
Which they don't really use except for NBA Today. I'm going to read you a tweet from less than 2 years ago. Do you know a guy named Joe Pompolino?
Name rings a bell.
So he does sports and business. He actually does a really good job with some stuff. This was April 17, 2023, talking about athletes that have complicated taxes. NFL, NBA, and MLB players. Now, you're going to find this number insane. NFL, NBA, and MLB players file 10 to 25 tax returns each year.
Sounds about right.
And some athletes pay more than $1 million to states they don't even live in. And it's all because of Michael Jordan.
More importantly, Nick, to Boomer's point about my state, what the hell are we going to do when they put a team in London, for God's sakes? And you have to file taxes here and over in England.
Well, I don't know.
Where's the outrage about that?
First of all, you're never going to see an international Super Bowl. I just don't see that happening.
I'm not talking about Super Bowl. I'm talking about when they put a team in London or Frankfurt, Germany next season or in 5 years when they go back to the NFL Europa 3.0.
I don't see them doing that
because your boy Goodell is so hell-bent on putting teams in overseas markets.
I think he just wants more games. I don't know if we're ever going to see a team there because the traveling nightmare that's going to cause. Think about it. London's not close for most teams.
I have flown from San Diego to Rome, Tokyo, Sydney, Mexico City.
It's a long flight.
Long flights, well, minus the Mexico City trip because it's like 2 hours, but still.
No, but Tokyo and I mean, I could see like Brazil and Australia. Like those are not close flights.
Yeah, I think Australia and Japan were the 2 longest flights of my lifetime. I think going to Sydney was about a 24-hour travel day. Because we had to fly from LAX, not from here. So we had to take a bus from here to LAX. We flew overnight. We lost the day when we went to Sydney. We came home and got the day back.
Oof.
And then flying from here to Japan was like 16 hours, I think.
And that's a complete disaster, time zone wise, going to Japan.
And then the weather was out of control, heat wise, humidity wise. I think Boomer Esiason's take is stupid.
I understand where he's coming from, though, that the jock tax is a stupid thing. Like,
I mean, it is. But that's not a reason to not go to now we're just going to, discriminate cities and states because of a jock tax.
That's stupid. He shouldn't have. I think, like I said, I think just because he probably would have said the same thing if this was in New York. I think he would have said the same thing. Like, I think it's just an attack.
And by the way, I did look it up. The only Super Bowl he played in happened to be in Florida. No jock tax, as you said, and there's no state income tax either.
Why do you think everyone's moving to California? Florida. Why do you think everyone's moving to Florida?
Or moving to Texas.
Or moving to Texas or North Carolina.
Yeah.
Because there's no income tax. So, but do you really want to be underwater in the next 10, 20, 30 years if you move to those states? I don't.
No, you want to put up with harsh winters and hurricane season and tornadoes? I don't think so.
Don't get me wrong. New York is cold and winter and whatever, but I would never trade New York for anything. That's just me.
You're telling me.
Like I couldn't live anywhere else, I don't think, to be honest. And it's expensive to live in New York. Same thing like it is expensive to live in California. Like,
yeah.
But the Boomer's quote, I think it's a little miscalculated. Is the way I would say it too.
For sure.
Because he would have said this anywhere if it was a jock tax state. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
not just here, but New York, anywhere else that has it.
So I think he would have called out any state and said, "Oh, we shouldn't play there anymore because of a jock tax."
Yeah, and if the NFLPA, I mean, if you are the NFLPA, Nick, are you kind of like snickering and laughing like, is this guy for real right now?
I could see the NFLPA being mad about the jock tax.
I mean, yeah, that part I understand, but more of
but the jock tax has nothing to do with the NFL, though.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah, the jock take that up with the government. They're the ones. But I don't understand why they're taking advantage of athletes in that regard, where they have to sometimes pay millions of dollars to different states they don't even live in.
I mean, imagine though, Nick, you get traded to in the middle of the season and you go and play, for example, and you get moved to a different team somewhere else, around the NFL map.
Oh, it's just another line it's another line item on the tax return.
Yeah, it all adds up in the end, right?
Yeah. All right, let's move on. So let's talk about more RSN collapse.
Oh, my goodness. As if this has not gotten any more out of control, Nick, but now both the Red Wings and Tigers are now moving off of FDSN with Ilitch Sports Entertainment, the owners of the Red Wings, Tigers, and also Little Caesars Pizza, announcing on Tuesday that fans can still watch games via cable or a new DTC option, while Illinois Network, Nick, went dark on Optimum Cable due to a carriage dispute on January 31st, right as spring training does begin. But, Nick, with the Tigers and Red Wings jumping ship, is the traditional RSN model now officially dead, or are teams trading one distribution headache for another one coming up soon for the rest of the NHL season and a new baseball season?
I'm already getting angry about baseball, and it's not even back yet.
Pitchers and catchers went back today and were already pissed off at MLB.
Well, I think they went back on Monday, right? The 9th?
Yeah, I think some guys went back Monday, but they had to be in camp by today across all of MLB, I think.
And yes, and quick cheap plug, tune into Hitting for the Cycle on Friday. First episode with pitchers and catchers reporting.
And a shitload of injuries.
And a shitload of hand what is it called?
Hamate bone injuries.
Hamate bone injuries, which is a broken bone in your hand, in case you were wondering. The Mets season's already over. You're welcome, Frank the Tank. Anyway. I don't have my glasses. I can't do it.
Clip that, yes.
Let's eat the dollar. Oh my God, they're gonna lose 150 games. Oh my God. See, Frank, I can impersonate you, and it's easy. And I don't have
Frank, for all the shit you spewed about Nick's cousin on SNY, this is your just desserts, my friend. Hope you enjoy it.
I'll keep doing that.
Don't worry about the Knickerbockers and Devils. Don't worry about baseball. Just hang it up until the lockout's over.
You're fake Knicks fan anyway.
Oh my God.
He was a Brooklyn Nets fan. He was a New Jersey Nets fan, actually.
Yeah, the only one is the guy sitting to my left on this screen.
Yes, I was a Net fan when it was popular to be a Net fan.
But I mean, Nick, the task at hand, though, is, again, okay, 9 major league teams already left, as we already know. Talk now of the LA Angels. God, it still pains me to say that. But the Angels and Braves both now look to make their own networks. We talked, I think, last Wednesday about the fact that the Braves might bring the Hawks into this new standalone cable platform. The Angels and the LA Kings, I don't know how that relationship works out when they both don't like each other because of the series that they play in, might do the same thing, though, with their own, RSN out here in SoCal. I mean, Nick, the inevitable is coming. It's just a matter of when, because I think more announcements are going to be starting to be made about the future of how you watch your teams, because, I already am in this position with the Padres. You're not there yet, though. A lot of the games for the Yanks are now being moved to Prime Video as the scales keep going this way when it comes to Prime over Yes Network. But Nick, I don't really know what more we can say other than the fact that, this is becoming the new normal.
I mean, here's the problem. And David Sampson laid it out perfectly when he was on the show.
He did a phenomenal job laying it out for us 2 weeks ago. Go back and check out the interview on our YouTube channel, please.
Yeah. We're having an issue with locality. And until baseball stops acting back in the olden days where locality still matters,
right,
we're not going to get anywhere. Now, I want to find... Oh, that reminded me also. The
Scott Boras comments being on foul territory.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find that too. I found it, actually. Oh, no, wait. That's not it. That's... see if I could find the actual one on... I'm trying to see if I can find it. Did we put it in our press row thing here?
We might have. Let me see if I can find it, though, too. Give me 1 second.
But you know what? There's so many issues when it comes to Major League Baseball. Now you're finally seeing teams that are officially recognizing that they can't survive on local revenue anymore. It just doesn't work. The NBA was doing it for a small period of time, and now it's not working. And now they've gone the national route for 7 days of coverage every single day. And look what happened. Now it's working its way into more money and more coverage for the NBA, and it's allowing them to do things that are different and reach different audiences of different demos and different things of that regard. So You're going to see teams that are just going to go off their RSNs because it doesn't pay for them to be on the RSNs.
Yeah, I couldn't find the video either, but basically Scott made a lot of very interesting claims, though, Nick, about, that baseball should do this, baseball should do that.
I found it.
Let's hear it then. Let's pull this up. Again, this was Super Agent Scott Boras making some comments regarding the ongoing baseball local television problems on the Foul Territory Live podcast on their platforms. Let's have a listen to Mr. Boras.
The ills of our game are resolved by revenues. Our media rights were exposed. Our inability to acquire the true valuation of our media rights was exposed by the NBA contract. They got $8 billion.
Stop.
You're not affected by the NBA. You're not affected by the NBA. You're a different product than the NBA.
That's the logic I don't understand is why in the hell do you have to start comparing your sport to the other leagues out there? Is it because, baseball's dying, baseball's this, baseball's that? You
want to know what the problem is?
I don't understand the logic of why do we have to, why do you compare yourselves to others though in this space, like Boras is trying to do here?
Because leagues try to compare themselves to other leagues. That they do this constantly. I don't understand why. It's different audience demographics. It's different people you're reaching. It's different international bases sometimes that you're reaching. Like hockey can't go around and say that they're comparing themselves to the NBA, Major League Baseball, and the NFL. The NHL has more Canadian demographic audience than anything else out there.
For sure.
So the only one, NFL really can't compare themselves to the NHL. They're the only one that doesn't have a team in Canada.
Yeah.
So, but the NBA is built differently. NBA is built on a national model now, the way it's been built.
Correct.
Major League Baseball is still stuck in the local bubble, and that's why they're struggling. But to compare this to the NBA deal, you're not going to get $77 billion, which is what the NBA just got.
Not even close. Continue.
Again, because they offered the league. We offer regional. And so consequently, we're getting half at $4 billion, and yet our content is double, and yet our ratings are there. And we also offer 200 million people more.
So are we going back to the bullshit argument about how the World Series had great ratings because it was across the international marketplace?
I'm so tired of that. And Rob Manfred tried to pull that bullshit too. Saying, look at our numbers. We had 16 million people a game watching. We had figured out the other day.
Yeah.
Well, why did you have 16 million people watching? Your biggest player internationally, was watching. So where do you think most of that audience was coming from?
Overseas markets and the whole country of Canada having their team in the World Series.
Think about it. Most of your audience is probably between Shohei Ohtani and your team from Canada being in the World Series. Okay. Would you say maybe 50% could have come from Shohei Ohtani alone?
Easily. Well, I mean, him, Yamamoto, Sasaki, all the Japanese players on the Dodgers for sure. Absolutely.
If you really want to split it, you could probably split it down the middle between Canada and then
1,000% between all of Japan, all of the LA metro area for sure, and then all of Canada, every province and city known to mankind in Canada.
Yeah, but to say you were a success and then you're trying to include all the international numbers. What are you without the international numbers?
Yeah, exactly.
What would you say? A few million?
Yeah.
Maybe? You're not 16 million, I'll tell you that much.
You're nowhere near the Super Bowl. You're nowhere near the NBA Finals. None of that.
Seriously.
From Asia, Korea, Taiwan, Japan, and Canada, that those are markets that the NFL and the NBA do not own.
What? They don't own them now, Mr. Boras, but wait until they start doing more overseas where they start taking away your fan base. Good Lord.
Hold on. Is Scott trying to claim that Major League Baseball has more value reach in those countries than the NFL does?
Yeah, give me a break. Even I know that as a 9-year divorced NFL fan. Give me a break, Boris. Good God.
Boris can't be that naive, can he?
Is he this bleeping stupid?
There's no, and I get it. The argument he's going to use is that Korea and China and Japan were baseball countries.
I'm
right?
a dumbass.
That was the original argument.
I'm a dumbass.
Right?
Yes.
So you see a lot of players defect from Japan, China, Korea, Cuba, Mexico. That doesn't mean there's massive audiences watching it.
Yeah, and I mean, the Padres play Arizona for 2 games in Mexico City, which ironically enough is named after one of their minority owners in Mexico City for 2 games. I mean, that's going to, I think it's already sold out or pretty damn close to it. But I still don't think that pushes the Mexican fan base in Mexico City or across all of Mexico over the threshold of where like the Canadian audience was for the World Series, for example, for 2 games in April.
I would say that the NFL has done an amazing job in Mexico. Really,
1,000%. Especially too. I think though, and you know what, the NFL, Nick, might actually get this right. Now, is it because of the travel? Maybe with it's the Rams going to Melbourne, right? Rams in either San Fran or Seattle.
Rams and
Niners.
Yep.
See, that makes sense to not have like the Patriots go all the way down to Australia, for example. That's one thing. But I wonder, though, Nick, if the NFL has scored brownie points in Mexico City because they normally use the Chargers or the Chiefs or people who are close who maybe have a very good Latin fan base tied into the city already as is.
I'm trying to look up the games that the NFL's already had in Mexico City.
I think the Chargers played there quite a few times as is when they were here and then when they went to LA.
Okay, so the first one was in 2005.
Okay.
Cardinals, 49ers.
That makes sense.
2016 was the next one, 11 years in between.
Wow.
Raiders, Oakland at the time, and the Texans.
Raiders have a fan base wherever they go.
That probably was a good choice at the time. Then you had Patriots, Raiders the year after.
Okay.
The Raiders were going through a shithole, like at that point.
Yeah, well, they've been a black hole shithole since they came here in 2003 and got walloped by the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but 2017 was still Brady, though, right?
Yes.
So that made sense then.
That one made sense for sure. Headliner playing in Mexico City. Probably a lot of Patriot fans who love Brady that live down there were probably at Estadio Azteca.
Then 2019, which was Chargers Chiefs. That was before Mahomes, right?
Trying to think. No, I think Mahomes was already starting because Alex Smith played the last game I ever went to in San Diego, which was 2015, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And then...
But that makes sense, though. Again, you have a team in the Midwest, easy flight to Mexico City, Chargers, San Diego, then to L.A., big Latin and Hispanic team before they play.
Yeah,
that makes sense to tie it into Mexico City.
And then the last one before this one, well, from 2019 to 2022, they went 3 years. Now, I think partially that had to do with the stadium issues they were having.
Yeah, Estadio Azteca underwent renovations to get ready for the upcoming World Cup in June.
Was that the stadium that had the issues with the smoke?
They had issues with the smoke, and the other version of football-wise, it's one of the most notoriously hard places to play because the support of the fans are out of control. Trevor and I will talk about this later down the road about the lore of Azteca. Easy for me to say, but the lore of it, though, Nick, about how fans are separated by electric fencing, barbed wire, and usually the military's there to keep the fan bases in control for Club America in the opposition.
So I just realized. So I saw the note. They were supposed to have Rams Chiefs in 2018. but it was moved to Los Angeles due to the poor field conditions, and that was the smoke. I think
that was the smoke, and I think they had some other issues at the stadium too. I believe, if memory serves.
I think the grass was not taken care of properly either. Then 2022 again, the Niners, and the Cardinals. They were the first game, and they were the game in 2022.
Which again makes sense because you're keeping things regionalized, and you have fan bases, even New England. Who again, Nick, what do they have? Very much Latin and Hispanic-based communities and fan bases who support the team.
Right. And then 2022, haven't had a game since what's coming up now. So 4 years in the making.
Which obviously will be after the World Cup concludes over the summer. And I would think that'd be probably another Western-based matchup.
Well, yeah, it's going to be Rams-Niners. Third time the Niners are going down to Mexico City.
I'm wondering, though, if before we get back to Boris's comments here and we wrap up hour 2, doesn't, Nick, the NFL have like not a loophole, but kind of like a thing where they basically try to not force, but basically tie in a team to certain overseas markets, for example?
It depends. Like for the Jaguars, everyone's like trying to associate them with London.
Yes.
Especially moving them to London. That'll never happen because the Florida football crowd is too big. So
and that's too big. And for Boomer Esiason, that's going to be the only safe place to play Super Bowls pretty soon because of taxes.
But I think having 2 teams in Florida makes sense because it's a warm state, number one. The only thing that is probably not good is that they don't, because they get a lot of rain, they don't have retractable roofs.
And the Jags were good this year, but usually it's either one or both teams are either great or they're awful.
Well, Miami was shit. But like the argument that Scott's making about that MLB is bigger internationally.
They're bigger simply for 3 players on one team that Callum McClure can't stand for or hasn't been able to stand for 32 years of being on this planet. How about that?
If you want to say 10, 15 years ago, baseball was bigger internationally, yeah, I might believe you.
Yeah, but now that the NFL has done a wonderful job, and I'm giving them credit here for growing such a foreign game, as much as people have tried to grow soccer and hockey in the U.S., for example, the NFL, though, goes with what they've done to grow the game. Now, again, we don't like the fact that they want to play 1 game a week over in an overseas market every season.
No, that's
but the sport now has traction, much like soccer has traction here and has had it for 30 years since MLS began play in 96. That baseball now is just getting lost in the shuffle, and they really can't do a damn thing about it.
No, that's true. All right, let's continue.
They don't own Canada. They don't own Asia. They don't.
Sorry.
I wonder why, Scott.
No, he's saying that. Was he saying that they don't own it, or the NFL doesn't own it?
I think he was saying that the NFL and NBA don't own those markets.
Yeah, that's why I'm laughing. What do you mean?
Yeah, come on, dude. The NBA's got a team
that like we do. And so we offer that to all the media conglomerates where they can take their product and opt.
First of all, I'm sorry, and you know what I'm about to say because he said we offer.
Yeah, sir, you're an agent. Shut the hell up.
You are not an owner. You're not Rob Manfred in the front office. You're an agent. Your job is to advise your clients, and that's it.
Oh, no.
Optimize it by this grand market that no other sport has. What's the value of that? The value of that was not ascertained. That's the problem with our sport. Because if we have 20 billion to deal with versus 4, all the ills of what a lot of owners struggle with today will be resolved, and it will not be a label.
Wait a minute. Is he saying that they could be worth $20 billion?
Yeah. Where's that money coming from? The Dodgers?
No, but he's claiming the rights could go from like $4 billion, which I don't even know if they're worth that much, to be quite honest.
Maybe worth what, 3.5, maybe 3 at most?
I mean, I'll look up quickly the MLB.
Come on, dude.
MLB TV deals. Let's see what we got. That's not the answer I was looking for. MLB national TV contracts. Here we go. Okay. So new deals, NBC Universal 2026 to 28. Netflix, it doesn't give an answer for how long it is.
Of course not.
But I think it's at least 2 or 3 years.
It's got to be.
ESPN, I don't know how. They don't give the years. Oh, they're all 3-year media deals. Well, it makes sense because they want to shift everybody together like they do in the NBA and the NFL and the NHL. Let's see. So ESPN 3-year deal, looks like Netflix has a 3-year deal. Who else? NBC?
Yes.
3-year deal. They're going to be taking on a lot. Sunday Night Baseball, the wild card round. It's ridiculous. I don't understand what he's trying to get at.
I don't either.
Let's see what else. MLB's short TV deal with ESPN, NBC, and Netflix. Media money move for 2029. According to ESPN, MLB is set to bring in roughly $800 million, not even $1 billion. Scott, what the fuck are you talking about?
Wow, man.
$550 million from ESPN, $200 million from NBC, and $50 million from Netflix. Where the hell did he get $4 billion to $20 billion?
Where the hell did? Yeah, I mean, he pulled that out of his ass. Good God.
Just like everything else. Continuing.
Labor issue. And so in 2028, we're going to have something that's going to give us definition, clear definition as to what the revenues of this game are. And therefore, we'll have the ability then to adjust and know more about what our labor situation would be and how that the inner workings of it should apply for equities for all clubs. And so the real issue for me is that how do we define the revenues of the game and how do we optimize it? And how do we set up a system that is far different from what we used before to negotiate, truly negotiate the value of our rights, which will then propel this game to levels that it's never seen before.
What? I don't know. I can't take him seriously. I can't take him seriously when he talks.
No.
But he's so wrong. He's wrong about the revenue.
I'm a dumbass.
He said $4 billion and up to $20 billion.
Please, man.
Scott, Manfred with ESPN, NBC, Netflix made an $800 million a year deal for 3 years. I don't know. Like, Scott might be a good agent because he knows how to negotiate, but he's terrible sometimes at over-exaggerating the business side of it.
Yeah. All right, Nick, let's stay in baseball and come to San Diego, California. The bidding war for the Padres is now heating up, and 4 owners have now been named publicly. That includes Warriors owner and Valkyries owner Joe Lacob, AS Roma and Chelsea FC owner Dan Friedkin, and Everton owner Jose Feliciano, with a wild card consortium from South Korea also entering the bidding process. Nick, out of the 4 owners that have been named, though, after the Seiler family has elected to put the Padres on the open market, out of the 4, who probably in your mind would become San Diego's best fit, though? But also with the wild card group from South Korea entering, Would this still be a perfect fit given a international roster and the push, though, for MLB to further expand their footprint beyond American borders?
This is fascinating. I think Lacob would be a great owner for the Padres. He's been great for the NBA. He's been great for the Warriors. The problem is he going to run into the same situation when Mark Cuban tried to buy the Cubs or tried to buy the Mets, where because all the owners have to approve of a owner coming in. So that hurdle, I don't know. The other guys are soccer guys, essentially, right?
Yes.
I mean, you're right. From a standpoint for Friedkin and Feliciano, they would bring more international flair. I don't know much about the group from South Korea, so I don't.
There's been some spattering of reports that they're kind of in a way linked to the KBO, which is where they have signed players in the past, and I think they have investment stake in one of the franchises in the Korean baseball organization.
I don't think that one's going to win. I don't
think so either.
I don't even know if they're going to be able to put up the money necessary to be able to hold a bid.
So for those wondering that the Seidler family is seeking at least, Nick, $3 billion for the Padre franchise effective this month.
I don't know if they're going to get that.
There's talk of like 2.5, maybe 3 if they're lucky at this rate.
Also, with all the different owners involved in it, they have to be able to clear all that off the book. Also.
So here's some more details for those that are wondering. So Dan Friedkin has been considered the front runner because he was actually born in San Diego. His grandfather helped found the former Pacific Southwest Airlines in San Diego, California, and would become the second wealthiest individual owner in baseball behind Steve Cohen, with a net worth, Nick, of how about $10 billion?
I mean, that's a lot of money. First of all, when these guys are buying, they're not buying 100%. Usually you come in, you own a majority stake, you come in with a group and you buy a team. That's how most of these work. Unless you're the Buss family who just sold to Mark Walter, or you're the Steinbrenner family who's owned the Yankees for God knows how long now.
At least, 30 years, if not 35 years?
Probably even more than that.
40, 45?
I mean, I'll look that up. Let's see. How long?
By the way, so yeah, Dan Friedkin, his chairman of the Friedkin Group, he owns a bunch of car dealerships in the Gulf states of America, and then he also owns AS Roma of the Italian Serie A soccer league, and also Everton of the EPL. He also was the main face of a potential group to bring the NHL to Houston, where he also lives and works.
So it's been since 1973.
Damn. Steinbrenner in the 80s.
So that was when Steinbrenner, the father, was alive, but they've owned it technically since 1973 to now.
Long time.
That's like 40, 50.
43 years?
No, like 53 years.
53 years?
Which is crazy to think about.
It's been that long. So Dan Friedkin is considered the front runner, Nick. Jose Feliciano is number 2 on the list. His bid is notable as he would become the second Latino majority owner in baseball behind Artie Moreno of the LA Angels. While he helped co-found a $90 billion private equity firm called Clear Lake Capital, he's reportedly bidding through his personal family office alongside his wife, Kwanzaa Jones. His net worth is at $3.9 billion, with part ownership of Chelsea FC. But sadly, though, his ownership has kind of been criticized by the Chelsea fan base for a lot of moves made, but no results on the field.
I think it'll end up eventually going to Lacob because I think he makes the most sense. He's going to spend the money.
And that brings us to Joe Lacob, the majority owner of the Warriors and also the Golden State Valkyries. Longtime veteran sports owner who has publicly sought an MLB franchise for years, including the A's and Angels. While his personal net worth of 2.3 is lower than Friedkin's, his championship pedigree of the 4 NBA titles in Golden State is a massive and major selling point to the San Diego fan base, where I think, Nick, I would be all for it, but I think he's going to have to probably bring some more people on board to probably help out with minority ownership of the franchise.
It's like I said, today's day and age, you don't you don't buy single-handedly 100%. No owner can afford that fully. But Lacob makes sense. He built the team in Golden State, the Warriors, and was willing to spend the money. So I think he'd be willing to spend the money on San Diego and the Padres to hopefully bring in the names necessary to win, bring in some big talent. Just stay away from Juan Soto. But try to find some guys that maybe it would make them more competitive if he was the owner, willing to spend money. He showed it in Golden State. He showed that he was willing to overpay the tax.
I think more importantly, Nick, he did it, though, too, in a salary cap league. You know, who's not to say if and when that word finally gets confirmed in baseball that he somehow can't make it work in baseball, too.
I mean, are you thinking like in the Steve Cohen realm? Is that what you're thinking if he makes it to baseball?
Yeah. Why not?
By the way, I forgot to do this before because I saw the story before the show started. But so this is going to be odd. What I'm about to say for Major League Baseball. So we all know the Giants and the Yankees are playing on opening day on Netflix.
Yeah, standalone game.
Netflix is pursuing Barry Bonds for opening day.
Oh, my goodness.
Can you imagine Barry Bonds back on any type of digital media or TV being part of the Giants?
Oh, man. That'd be something.
Can you imagine? And also, Netflix is also trying to sign CeCe Sabathia for opening day.
That'd be nice. He's a good analyst.
But Barry Bonds, all the questions that are going to get asked.
That could become a nightmare for MLB's front office.
What is Barry Bonds even doing at this point?
I don't know, honestly. Probably enjoying retirement.
The last
after he got blackballed by everybody.
Wasn't he a co-hitting coach or something with the Marlins?
Yeah, at one point. It's been a long time, though.
And then he got like in trouble because he was being a little aggressive as a...
Something like that. I forget.
Why the Marlins?
I don't know. Nick, there are two other names, both of which are no surprise to either of us, that might in fact bid for the Padres. That includes your boy Joe Tsai and some guy named Stanley Kroenke.
No, make it stop.
Now, obviously, Tsai makes sense. He's the owner of the Brooklyn Nets, New York Liberty, but also a La Jolla resident here in San Diego. Long been viewed as a natural fit due to his local ties to the region, and Stan Kroenke also due to the fact he's helping support a new sports arena project in San Diego. Despite the ownership of the Rams and Nuggets, though rumors persist, local analysts doubt that baseball would approve a move specialist like Kroenke for a city like San Diego, who just lost the Chargers, and obviously with Kroenke moving the Rams from St. Louis back to LA.
Wait, would he own a team in every league?
Yeah.
What, Kroenke, right?
Yeah, so the Kroenke group would own the Broncos in a way.
The Avalanche?
Well, Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rapids, Rams, Padres maybe, Arsenal
he's still in on the Broncos?
Well, his wife Ann is the lead of that group, the Walter Penner group, I think.
Wait, I thought the Broncos were was it Walgreens? Walmart?
Walmart, yeah.
I didn't realize that they were part of that group.
I think they might be, I forget. I mean, if not, no, Stan has the Rams.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So, Rams, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rapids, Mammoth, lacrosse team, not the NHL team in Salt Lake City, Arsenal, and maybe Padres.
Can you imagine?
On top of him helping support the new arena project here in San Diego, California, too.
That's insane if he had that type of... Hey, no brag, but I own an MLB team, an NBA team, an NFL team, an NHL team.
Major League Soccer, EPL soccer.
No, that's just
SoFi Stadium.
That's just a humble brag that I just own a Can you imagine? He's got to be one. He might be the only one who would own a team from every league, right?
And then obviously you have Joe Tsai. I'm not surprised. Joe lives here. He owns the lacrosse team here. Obviously, he owns the Nets and the Liberty, owns Barclays Center, really has invested his time and effort here in town. I mean, if he doesn't, become majority, I think he could probably become like a stakeholder of the Padres, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, maybe he could be part of the group with Latham, maybe.
Yeah. A couple of NBA guys work together to make it happen. That'd be interesting.
That would be interesting to say the least.
But I mean, I think anybody would be a great fit, Nick. And it does say, though, that the bids are expected to be submitted by the end of this month, so within the next couple of weeks. The Peter Seiler family is prioritizing a buyer who will maintain Peter's win-at-all-costs spending philosophy, but also, more importantly, Nick, guarantee that the club will stay in San Diego and not move out of town, which again has been kind of on the back burner here locally in town for a while.
Yeah. I guess we'll see what happens, but crazy. I mean, how long have they owned the team for?
The club got sold in 2012, and Peter was like in the background. I went to Ron Fowler, who's a big liquor connoisseur seller in San Diego. Ron stepped back in 20. Then eventually Peter took over the club, and then had it until he passed away 3 years ago. And then it got handed off to the brothers, and then it became a full-fledged family fight.
Well, then wasn't that the whole AJ Preller situation also?
Kind of, but not really. It was more of like Peter's widow sued because she believed that she was going to be entitled to take over when Peter passed, and it was in writing, and then it ended up being settled out of court within the last couple of weeks in Texas.
Which was what? Did we ever find out what happened?
That she basically dismissed some claims that were made, and that she would not further pursue any litigation against John Seiler and Matt and Bob, who became the lead men in charge of the franchise.
So we had a family fight.
Yeah, much like the Bus family and other things that you'll hear about on Small Market Edition next Friday.
I don't know. I mean, they need a new owner. They need an owner that's willing to spend. They need an ownership that's willing to spend.
And I think that's what went to our point, though, that anyone, I think, maybe minus the South Korean consortium, makes the most sense. Lacob would spend. Dan Freakin would spend. Feliciano would spend. A Lacob-led group with Joe Tsai would spend. Because, I mean, Nick, if I have to look at the data, back-to-back 90-win seasons, you play in the 8th biggest market by population. You've got beautiful weather, a crown jewel stadium in the heart of downtown San Diego. The team has sold out practically 80 or 90% of all home games. They've been over 3 million fans the last 2 seasons, if not longer. And with the NFL being gone, that now is your driving engine to owning the sports landscape here in San Diego.
No, that definitely helps. That helps to figure out what they need to do to build this team to be better again. I don't know. They just got to figure out something because San Diego has been a little bit rough. Like, they make the playoffs, they do what they got to do, but at the same time, they need an owner who cares. They need an owner who's willing to spend money. They need an owner that's willing to say, I'm dedicated to the fight and willing to build. Now, I think Joe Lacob would be the perfect owner. If you're looking for somebody who's dedicated, willing to spend money, willing to be in the stadium or in the arena or wherever needed to help his team be dedicated. But
how about a wild card for you?
Okay.
Depending on what happens with Aspiration, what about Steve Ballmer?
Hell no. No. I wouldn't trust Steve Ballmer again after this whole, but depending on how this investigation plays out.
There's no salary cap. He'd be fine.
Right, but I'm saying
the salary cap in baseball, there's no salary cap.
But I wouldn't trust him because how do you know he's not doing other things?
Oh, deferred money.
He could circumvent the luxury tax.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, his name was in the running for a bit, though, and then I think within the last couple of weeks, though, that with what is out there somewhere, But the circumvention thing, that's
you have the shady business practices going on too. You don't know.
Yeah, and Nick, I'm glad you brought that up though, concerning about an owner who wants to take the risk. Because, I documented this, I want to say, when the news broke about the Seidler family exploring selling the franchise. And I went, deep and dug and looked at every ownership who's come through San Diego. This all began with a guy named C. Arnold Smith back in the 60s, who was, the guy in charge of the big bank in town. He made all his money in tuna fishing here locally at the harbor. And then he was losing money. I think he got, I think he even had his own tax problems, and he was put in jail for a while. Then the team was literally on their way out to DC in the early 70s until Ray Kroc, McDonald's founder, bought the franchise. That was really the first shot in the arm for the franchise, because Ray Kroc, Nick, was kind of like Peter Seidler 2.0 or 1.0 before Peter Seidler came around, because Kroc would, there's a story about him getting on the PA mic at San Diego Stadium and saying, "This is the worst bleeping ball I've ever seen played in my life," and people loved him for it. But he went out there and spent the money on that '84 team before he passed away, and then his wife took over the club. Then obviously the '90s were Tom Warner and his TV group, the men of, I forgot what they called them, but they obviously had the fire sale in '93 with Sheffield and McGriff and Tony Fernandez being traded away during that season, and attendance had plummeted so badly at the stadium. Then John Moore's Larry Lucchino in the 90s, all the way through the Jeff Morad era, which was very brief. And then obviously the Seidler group took over. The constant passing of the baton, though, is obviously not good, though, for any sports franchise. But I think, Nick, anybody, though, who buys this club from the names that we mentioned, I think all three of them would put their foot down and say, this team in this city deserves to have the money spent on them to make them what they can get to eventually. And then it's hopefully a World Series championship in the next couple of years. Hopefully. We'll see.
I don't know. I mean, do you really need full dedication to prove? Not necessarily. It's, if you're willing to spend the money, the fans will like you, regardless if you're in San Diego 365 days a year or you're not there at all.
Yeah, definitely. I think so.
All right. Let's move on to the story I find the funniest.
Oh, yes.
So the $100,000 headset, Kurt Signetti's national championship headset, just sold for a record-breaking amount, surpassing Bill Belichick's Super Bowl 36 headset by nearly $90,000 in a late bidding surge. In the NIL era, has sports memorabilia become the new legal way for boosters to funnel massive amounts of cash into a program's ecosystem?
Can I say this is just for NIL collective reasons and not no damn auction for charity? Thank you. I rest my case.
I mean, there's no way to legally prove it, so we can't say it as fact because we don't know. Yes. But it is a little odd that all of a sudden, because you were asking me last night, was this like a memorabilia fun push? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Because you would have seen other items going up too, if that was the case.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what about Fernando Mendoza's jersey from the national championship game? What about this? What about that? Other a team signed helmet from the national championship winning team. And I think, Nick, in a way, this kind of now, who cares about memorabilia? Now it's just, in a way, all these filthy, rich, greedy pigs that are called boosters for athletic departments, Nick, can now just funnel money in via a auction for a headset from the head coach to further the NIL collective going forward.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way to prove it. I think there's something going on there that we don't know. Because they don't.
It wouldn't surprise me either, honestly.
It was on a charity site.
Yes.
Where they're collecting money, but who knows? It's like I told you, like that Susan G. Corman Foundation.
Yeah, Coleman. Yeah.
Where they claim that they're donating everything to charity when when the speculation is that they actually have salaries.
Yes.
Which in some legalities, there are people who that's their job and they get paid a salary to work, but you're taking 25% off the top of the charity to take in as money when that could be going to charity. By the way, there is this weird story going around. Speaking of Fernando Mendoza.
Uh-oh.
So there was some drama at Super Bowl Row that took place.
Really? Oh, boy.
For Fox Sports Radio.
Okay.
So Stu Gatz, who we
Yes.
talked about, just took over Gottlieb's time slot.
Yes.
From 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern. Spoke up about or took aim at one of Colin Cowherd's producers.
Oh, geez.
For overtaking one of their guests, which was Fernando Mendoza.
Really?
So it says, and I'm reading from the Forbidden B Word site. So
oh, not that guy again.
So just try to bear with me here. Some possible tension inside the Fox Sports Radio family spilled into public this week when John Stugatz Wiener accused Colin Cowherd and his producer of undercutting fellow hosts during Super Bowl 60 coverage. Speaking on Stugatz and Friends, Wiener criticized Cowherd's program for landing Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza. This followed Mendoza being booked to appear on Covino and Rich, which broadcast live from Radio Row. The dispute centers on whether Cowherd's show overstepped by redirecting a guest who had committed to another program under the same network umbrella.
Okay.
Wiener framed the issue as more than a simple scheduling mix-up, arguing that context matters during Super Bowl week because shows that travel to Radio Row invest significant time and resources for access. Quote, for every 10 big guests Colin gets, those guys, Covino and Rich, get one. Wiener said, let them have their big guests. It's Radio Row. They're physically there and grinding it out. They're doing the shows. While the controversy likely is more for show than serious, he contrasted the Radio Row experience with studio-based programs that rely on remote bookings, suggesting that the effort required on-site should carry weight and importance when guest opportunities arise. He also went on to say, if you go to Super Bowl week and you're physically there, it's different than being set up at your normal studio and just having guys filter guests into you. Those guys were there grinding. That guest was theirs. It was booked on their show. Wiener reserved his sharpest criticism for Cowherd's producer, whom he accused of deflecting responsibility once the controversy surfaced.
Oh, geez.
While both Covino and Rich say the responsibility lies on a freelance talent booker that worked the week with the company, Stugatz's ear didn't miss towards Cowherd's on-site producer. I need to clear this up, and I don't want to hear from Colin's producer. Wiener said, seriously, take some responsibility for your actions, man. I'm tired of the sports radio game where there's no accountability. Everyone's stabbing each other in the back. According to Wiener, the decision to pursue Mendoza did not happen accidentally. He alleged that Cowherd's producers initiated the move and later shifted blame. To their credit, both Covino and Rich played off the moment and used it as a growing lesson. However, Wiener leaned on his own industry resume to explain why he believes the explanation offered publicity does not add up. Thoughts?
A lot of moving parts. So it's a lot of, it sounds like a lot of he said, she said, they said, we said when it came to booking guests during Super Bowl week up in Santa Clara.
So to sum this up, Fernando Mendoza was booked for Covino and Rich. I don't know if you know those guys or you know that show. Covino and Rich have been around the radio business a long time. They did their own show on Sirius for about 13, 14 years. They were on the Faction Talk channel. They worked at ESPN for quite a few years. They did some ESPN radio for quite a few years. I got to interview them years ago. I'd like to have them on here. They're actually really cool guys. And I probably could get them on here for us, actually. And they were given a Fox Sports radio show because their reach was so big. And so Mendoza was booked for their show.
Okay.
And apparently, think about it. Covino and Rich, who are big guys, but
Covino and Rich or Colin Cowherd.
And I hate that when that happens.
Yeah.
Where you should honor your scheduled appearance.
Yeah. 1,000%.
I've always believed that. And full disclosure, I'm not going to say any names, but I've booked guests in the past for
Who
show
did the same thing. Where
the PR or the person I was connected with to get the big name would say to me, we're going on national show. And I'm like, bullshit. I said, you agreed
that the terms and conditions to come on to this program, you better be here.
And I said, and I even gave them the opportunity. I said, look, if you need to rebook it, we'll rebook it.
No.
I'm not that mean. Like,
sure you are.
And I said, you booked for my show. I said, you can't just blow it off. We national show. So I understand this, and I understand where this is coming from. But I don't know if I like I love the drama that goes back and forth between shows, but I don't know if radio or Super Bowl Row is really the place to air this out.
No, it isn't. And, there's a, excuse me, I always say time and place. There's a time and place to handle this, but not at the biggest sporting event in the world until the World Cup starts in June. Like, come on, can we be better here, guys? Seriously?
Well, here's the other issue, though, and I mentioned it in the BM article. That's all I'm willing to call them right now.
Yeah.
So apparently Colin had a producer on scene at Super Bowl Row, but he was never on location. I thought he originally said he was going to go down like for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Some national hosts did that because they didn't want to be there the entire week, which that's a long week to be there.
Oh, yeah.
But he never went. He never was on location ever the entire week.
I think I recall, Nick, real quick, to tie it in real quick, that I think I heard that Lee Hacksaw Hamilton did a 30-year retrospective because he was the Charger radio announcer on Extra 690 when they went to the Super Bowl in '95 against the Niners. He said they did a 10-hour pregame show on Super Bowl Sunday.
I mean,
10 hours of pregame before the big game back in '95.
I don't even know, but I don't know. Is there any... I could talk about some of this experience from working in radio, but I don't know where to begin with this. I'll let you give a perspective on it, and then I can kind of give you some perspective on what I...
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the internal fighting. I mean, like, in a way, Nick, it's interesting because, like, you would think that a radio station, you would be like teammates playing a sport. You're there to back each other, support each other, what have you. And I do know, though, Nick, that at one point tying it back to Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, again, San Diego, Southern California, West Coast radio legend. He was the first guy to the box at Extra 690 back in the day.
I like Lee. Lee's a good guy.
Yeah, Lee's good people. I've met him before.
He was on MLB. He was on Sirius, right?
Yeah, he did baseball for a while on the home plate channel.
I interviewed him when he was at MLB, what became MLB Network Radio. So he's a really good guy. He's a legend in this business.
Yeah, he is. And I remember that he got interviewed about his career, and he said, when I first got here, I was the guy that had to find the whole sports department because they were doing news talk in 60s era rock and roll still on 690 back in the day, broadcasting from Tijuana, Baja California, Mexico. And he even said, like, back then, when you turned on the radio in the morning to hear Mason in Ireland, for example, or Jim Rome, or John Quintera, or Chet Forty and Steve Hartman, you had to listen because they were going to take shots at each other every time after the show had ended. And that was how it was in the hallway and stuff. But they were all, you know, in a way, pulling the rope in the same direction.
That was part of the entertainment aspect, though, of doing radio.
But now, Nick, it seems like the business is turning more into petty bullshit with stuff like this happening when you're on the same damn station and playing for the same team, in a way. It's dumb.
I hate to say this because I got to experience what that's on a local end and a national end. I experienced it producing on two different types of shows.
And it sells, I know.
And basically, like, for the most part, I got along with people when I worked at ABC. There were some people, and this happens at every station in radio. The morning show was a silo, and it usually always is.
Right.
I got to be friendly-ish, but it was kind of hard to stay connected to any of those people because the morning show is the morning show. It makes the money, and the afternoon. I knew the afternoon drive people better than the morning people because the morning show is the sacred. No one can beat us. We're the morning show. I did get along well when it was Bernie and Sid at the time. Actually, I got to know both of them halfway decently. Sid had a personality issue, which I've told you many. He still does the morning show over ABC. Bernie, on the other hand, was one of the nicest guys. He produced Imus for all those years.
Oh, yeah.
Nationally. And then you want to talk about real tough radio and long hours of radio? They would be on from 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern time, syndicated. And then Bernie and Sid would then do a 9 to noon local show for ABC following it.
6 straight hours of radio. Damn.
And Bernie wasn't just what they call a sit-down producer. His mic was always on.
He'd be walking around probably in the studio.
That's how he was a very active producer. Even though Imus was a jerk, he let everybody talk.
Yeah.
Which is good because then everyone gets an opportunity and a chance, even though his name is on it. Imus in the morning. Like that nonsense.
Radio drama.
Or my favorite, you hear the stupid whack whack noise on Imus in the morning. I don't know if you know that story, do you?
I just know about the Rutgers women's basketball story. That's it.
So he had a quack. You would hear Imus time, quack quack, and then like you would say the time. And believe it or not, that was a timing mechanism that they used. I don't know why. I never understood it, but all I'm getting at is when you work in different shows, you get to know different people. There were some very nice people, and then there were some very nasty people. This industry has some really nasty people.
There's always one rotten apple that falls off the tree.
Oh, there was more than one rotten apple.
I know. saying though that usually happens.
But you get people who want to be on this show or that show or these guests, that guest. Now, when I worked in radio, I always wanted to be on the side of help. Always.
Of course.
Someone said to me, hey, can you get me that person or that number? Yeah, sure. Because you think you help somebody, eventually you're going to need help from them at some point in time. Some people I wouldn't do it for because they're complete assholes. I would not do it for. In this scenario, this is national radio. It's very competitive. Some shows have more affiliates than others.
Like Coward, for example, in this scenario with the Mendoza booking issues.
Now, in this scenario, usually affiliates are determined based on day part.
Yes.
And stuff. In this case, it's not. Because Coward is on from noon to 3 Eastern.
9 to noon Pacific time, yes.
Which is noon to 3 Eastern is like one of the worst spots in the syndicated lineup. But he's a name. It doesn't matter where he goes. And he always will get the affiliate reach. Everyone wants his show. Everyone. So apparently it was a freelance producer who probably doesn't have the experience.
Correct.
Of knowing, hey, see, if that were me, whether I was a producer or a freelance producer, I would go and talk to whoever the liaison was for Fox Sports Radio down on site.
Yeah.
Before I booked the guest. And I would say, I want to book Fernando Mendoza. Is he on any of the shows? That's what I would have done.
Yeah.
I've had to do that before. Or I book guests where sometimes I'll ask around and say, hey, did anyone book whatever big name politician today? I don't want to double book and have them on twice in the same day.
Yeah.
Because that would be awkward. That probably did not happen here.
Correct.
But at the same time, they probably saw the name and they said, okay, we have a choice. We're going to do one show on the Fox Sports Radio lineup for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So we have a choice. We could do Covino and Rich.
Or we do Coward.
Or we do Colin Cowherd. If this was any other week besides the Super Bowl,
they would have gotten him.
I think you wouldn't have had an issue. I think, one, I don't know if that because they put a freelance producer on the ground just for Cowherd's show at the Super Bowl. What does that tell you?
Exactly.
What they think?
Where the hell's McIntyre at, for God's sakes?
Well, he's part of the show. He's the sidekick, so to speak. So he's not a producer, but I don't know. I feel like we're not being told the whole story either.
I think so too.
But at the same time, I get Stugatz has been radio veteran forever, like with Levitard, and
he's no slouch. He knows what he's doing.
So he's earned the right to go back at somebody.
Yeah, 1,000%.
But
could it have been handled a different way? Yes.
It sounds like Stugatz was trying to defend Covino and Rich, which I like those guys. I've interviewed them before. I'd like to have them on here. They would be great because
it'd be awesome. I'm sure
they can talk about everything from doing music radio, getting into sports. They were on ESPN. They did like a late night show on ESPN, and I'm trying to see now. I got to look this up because I don't.
It wasn't Sports Center at night, was it?
No. Let's see. It was called. What was the name of the show? Oh, that's not the right thing.
Womp, womp, womp.
They did ESPN radio on weekends. And then, ironically, they did the show out of the ESPN Deportes studios. Show. I remember. And the TV show actually had some success. But I think they were part of the... Oh, it was called Now or Never.
Okay.
Which I actually think that was not a bad name.
Good name.
It was a late night show on ESPN2. And they allowed the two of them to be more pop culturally about sports.
Correct.
And this was before all the gambling, really. And
hallelujah.
And it was great. The show was great. It was on a little bit late, but I think it was on at like midnight or 1 a.m. Eastern time. But you know what? I thought it was great. They did a really good job. And then I think they just were not renewed, and it was part of those layoffs that
probably
happened at ESPN. But your thoughts as a freelance producer in that situation, being sent down for a major show, do you go and talk to maybe the person who's in charge of Fox Sports Radio and say, is like Fernando Mendoza is a big name. Is he booked somewhere else?
I mean, I would out of rather being safe than sorry.
I also don't understand, and it's not the guest's responsibility, but could the handler, because it's most likely the handler,
Yeah,
that's doing the booking,
PR rep, whatever it might be.
yeah, which they essentially call a handler. The handler could have said, we're already booked for a Fox Sports radio show.
Yeah.
Why didn't they do that? Is my question. Because
Maybe something got lost in the shuffle. Maybe, I don't know.
or they tried to stir up drama for no reason.
Yeah, which I think is pointless and stupid if you ask me.
Because I'll tell you right now, like all the stuff that we book for this show that I worked on, I make it very nicely clear in the emails. Hey, give me all the windows you have so we can figure out how to make it work. And then when they say, okay, I have this time, and this time, I will say, okay, here's the time I'm thinking. Can we lock this in? I use specific phrasing.
Right.
When I email with guests to make sure that when we go back, in case something happens and they try to pull something on me, I'll say, hey, do you remember this email that says you locked in your time with me?
Why are you backtracking?
I haven't had that issue yet, knock on wood, but like Pharrell was a perfect guest, and he handled it very well. Like he spoke to me the whole way, like 3 to 4 days before.
Good.
And said, hey, just remind me on Monday so I can then book it for 2 days later.
Yeah.
But he's a radio guy. He's been down that road a million times. I don't know. Is it really? Are we really arguing over Fernando Mendoza? Is that really what we're arguing over?
You know, the world fellas, like, grow up.
And here's the other problem with being a big show, and then we can move on from this, is your name, like as a show, sometimes gets thrown in the mud for something you didn't even do.
Yeah.
So, and this goes back to Mr. BM writing a headline.
How do you tolerate Bart Winkler's final sign off?
You know what? I'm just going to say it because I don't like him and he deserves to be called out for this. Barrett Sports Media writes, John Stugatz Weiner takes aim at Colin Cowherd, producer, over Fernando Mendoza appearance at Super Bowl 60 Radio Row.
Jeez.
Why can't you just say Stugatz takes aim at Fox Sports Radio producer?
No kidding.
Why do you have to say Colin Cowherd's producer?
Yeah.
Because then his name gets dragged in the mud for something he probably didn't even know. He just finds out, hey, he's going to be on the show. And then Stugatz is quoted as saying that Colin should know better. Maybe it's not his fault.
Yeah.
But that's what happens. When it happens on a show, it gets associated back to the person who hosts the show rather than the producers. That's happened to me before.
Oh, I bet.
Where I'm producing a show and then I have no idea something's going on and something changed without being told to me and I got blamed for it. And I'm like, really? Really? That's what we're doing here?
Unreal.
Oh, man. What else do we have?
All right, Nick, we'll get to our press clippings and call it a day here for this Wednesday. We'll start things off with the upcoming NBA All-Star Weekend from Intuit Dome in Inglewood, California, where, Nick, the NBA continues to lose their All-Star traction as they're going to be bringing in 200 global content creators are heading to L.A., the largest creator footprint ever for an NBA event away from the NBA Cup. Nick, what in the Sam Hill is going on here?
What? The NBA trying to get younger? Sounds like. There's not really much else. I mean, they're looking for influencers because digital currency is king. I mean, I don't know. Do you see anything else from it?
No, I mean, my friend DJ Shauner Nichols is is in LA. She got into town yesterday afternoon. She's going to be one of the numerous DJs who are going to be doing events around downtown LA and Inglewood for the next 4 days, when in fact the All-Star Weekend kicks off, I believe either today or Thursday, across LA into Inglewood, where the Clippers currently play their home games. I mean, I don't know, Nick. You know, we always say a lot that All-Star games are broken, but the NBA one has got to be the absolute one that is in no shape to be fixed anytime soon, even with the new format changes for the upcoming season.
I don't like it. But it's like NBA. What is this? Like United States versus the world is what they're doing now. And there's like 4 teams, I think, is what they're doing. And
there's like Team USA A, Team USA B, Team World, I think, A and B.
Yeah, but here's the problem. So Shai is out. He can't play.
LeBron's out.
LeBron was going to be out anyway. I think Giannis is hurt. So who's left?
Nobody.
I haven't watched the NBA All-Star game in years.
Same.
I mean, I've tried to watch a dunk contest. They don't really put enough big names in it.
No, I mean, when you got guys winning from the G League, like that's an embarrassment to the NBA. So, minor leaguers are winning the NBA dunk contest All-Star Weekend. You got to be bleeping me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. NBA All-Star Weekend used to be fun. Now it's kind of a joke. And
by the way, Nick, can we play? And I will, but can we play the audio of Mad Dog Russo's rant about the NBA?
I have it right here.
Let's have a listen.
Well, we got to give some context first. So this doesn't have to do with the All-Star game, but this has to do with
what I said earlier about the Utah Jazz benching Jaren Jackson Jr. for the fourth quarter of a recent game.
Correct. And NBA load management, which we've talked about for many episodes.
Which, again, goes to a further point from today's show that I mentioned a tweet that I sent Nick last night during our pre-show meeting the day before, and we both were in agreement. The NBA cares more about teams trying to tank for draft picks or better draft picks than they did about gambling back in October. So let's have a listen.
Yeah.
November before Thanksgiving in 2017, and I walked in there in the off season and did an hour show with the freaking high heat, sick as a freaking dog, and then walked in here and did a monologue, and I said, I can't take it. I'm so sick, I gotta leave. And I took the train home. And 3 days later, I was in the freaking Stanford hospital, and the doctor said, how the hell did you survive this? And then I sat there on a Tuesday night. He sat there and operated on me for 3 hours to get an appendix out. A ruptured one. Chris Russo. And Jaren Jackson can't play in the fourth quarter in a game in February, making $50 million a year. I mean, this is absurd.
I love when Mad Dog rants.
It's probably what made First Take a little bit bearable now.
Agreed.
But
I mean, he's right, Nick. I mean, if he can host a damn show with a ruptured appendix, but a guy has to sit the fourth quarter for the Jazz because they're tanking for a draft pick, like, what are we doing here?
I mean, I think it's more that he's making like $55 million a year.
Yep.
So I think that's what people are kind of looking at, possibly. And were they getting blown out? Or no?
Probably.
If they're getting blown out, I get it, because you don't want to get a guy injured that you just traded for.
Yeah.
By the way, shame on the Grizzlies, who are just completely blowing it up. Completely.
And I also think that the NBA adding or having all these content creators is cool, but it's like, who, sadly, where's my man Peter Griffin at here on the soundboard?
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Well, or I was going to say this one, too.
We're keeping a buck right now, we ass.
Yeah, I think Peter Griffin's a bit more logical with that one. I mean, I don't get it. I don't care for the All-Star game usually for any sport.
Baseball one is probably the worst.
Maybe baseball and when hockey did the Four Nations face-off.
By the way, and I just saw this pop up, and I forgot to mention it before when we were talking the Super Bowl. Did you see the story about the Seattle public schools?
Did they have like an off day today for the parade?
No, just the opposite.
No one showed up to school.
No. Seattle Public Schools to stay open and deny excused absences during the Seahawks victory parade, guaranteeing babysitters for hundreds of thousands of parents to enjoy the party.
Okay.
So they weren't allowing
anyone to skip school today. Interesting.
That's BS.
Come on, man.
Come on, Seattle Public School System. What's up with that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Come
All
on.
right, Nick.
It's been, what? How many years has it been since they won the Super Bowl?
11? 12?
Allow them to have the moment. Come on. How often does it happen?
Yeah, I mean, the Mariners aren't going to get there, sadly.
No.
Or the Kraken.
No.
Maybe the Storm. Maybe the Rain. Maybe the Sounders.
Let's talk about Gino Auriemma. The UConn legend sounds off on the portal, claiming extra eligibility is, quote, hurting the high school kids.
I mean, I don't think he's wrong.
Well, I think NIL is going to hurt the high school kids.
NIL, I mean, the portal kind of in a way is too, because, I mean, that whole thing is also out of control.
I mean, high school kids are now getting agents
before they even play a game in college.
Oh, okay. Like that's how I feel about this now. Like I need Patrick Starr to explain to me how this makes any sense. Like I don't know how to feel about this. Like they're literally hiring agents in high school now. Like how are you supposed to like
emotional damage?
I mean, yes, but like it's more like
you people.
And I mean that literally, because like an agent's going to take care of you like near the end of high school.
I mean, what happened to just playing the game because you love to play the sport?
I'll tell you what happened to that.
Well, yes, it can be Money by Pink Floyd with Roger Waters and David Gilmour and Syd Barrett and all those guys with Pink Floyd from Dark Side of the Moon back in the 70s or 80s. But again, I even said this, Nick, though, during one of the recent Small Market Edition episodes about my travel team that had won in Cooperstown 20 years ago. Everybody on that team, Nick, didn't give a crap about going pro or getting to college. We played the game of baseball because we as kids back then loved to play the game. We weren't there to, try to go pro or any of that sort of things. And I even wrote that too in the Substack too. This was at a time where you played the game because you loved it, not about highlight reels and social media clicks and having social media accounts, where I think we may have skipped over a story we talked about with Fox Sports soccer analyst Stu Holden, who went on a tirade a little bit about that certain soccer clubs now at the youth level require their players to have social media presences like age 13, age 14 for highlights. Like, what are we doing here? Stop.
You remember when we were doom scrolling on YouTube while we were working? Remember I showed you clips of kids, like small kids being mic'd up and and the parents being over aggressive at these, what is it? These small kid, what are they? County tournaments or whatever?
Yeah. Like a local weekend basketball tournament, like in Irvine, for example, or in Phoenix.
But it's crazy. Some of these kids are acting like they're adults.
Bonkers.
They're like 7 years old.
It's mind-boggling, man.
I
don't get it. Nick, some more rough news for the 49ers. Not only did they have to sit through watching the Seahawks win a title at their home field, but Keon White now is recovering, Nick, from surgery after being shot in the ankle in San Francisco during the week of a Super Bowl. Nick, just when the Niners do not have enough injury woes as is, and the theories about that power plant by Levi Stadium, too, causing injuries.
I heard this had to do with a fight, supposedly. I don't know what the full extent is. I think it was a fight with a rapper.
That's yikes. That's scary.
Yes, here it is. So defensive lineman for the 49ers, Keon White, was a victim of a shooting early Monday morning, sustaining a bullet wound to his ankle.
Ow.
He underwent surgery Monday. His injuries are not considered to be career-threatening.
Good.
Let's see. The San Francisco police said they responded to a shooting at a business on the 1700 block of Mission Street at around 4:06 a.m. local time and found a victim with an apparent gunshot wound.
I kind of know where Mission Street is. I think it's somewhere near downtown, I think.
But, and this is not the first time the Niners have experienced this either.
No, Ricky Parcell broke up a robbery at a bank in downtown.
But I don't know what it is with the Niners and being
bad luck, bad timing, wrong place, wrong time.
But this sounds like he wasn't involved. Like,
no,
it sounds like
he may have been a bystander and he just happened to get hit.
But it says that it was apparently he got shot after an argument involving rapper Lil Baby.
Does that name sound familiar?
There's a rapper.
Yeah, I think he did something with Dua Lipa. I think that's why.
It says a witness interviewed by police said that the Jones entourage, which is I think Lil Baby, was on the party's main floor and tried to enter White's private event.
Oh, no wonder.
And that led to
fists being thrown, probably a fight, and then obviously gunshots ringing out.
Yeah. Why can't we just settle fights like civilized human beings?
Something.
Why do we have to get fists and guns involved?
Yeah, I don't get it either. Nick, last press clipping for the day. Could Mark Cuban reportedly is exploring a partnership with the Dallas group to rebuy the Dallas Mavericks.
So to buy it back from the Adelson family?
That's what they're saying.
So the rumors and reports I heard were that they're having an issue getting the casino licenses down in Texas. So because they said, oh, we'll buy the team, which will be near the casino and blah, 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 blah. Now they're talking about Cuban getting back involved in rebuying the Mavericks. I want to see if I could just find something just so I can follow along the story. Unidentified investor group wants to partner with Mark Cuban and buy back the Mavericks. First, Miriam Adelson and her family, including team governor Patrick Dumont, have given zero indication that they want to plan or sell the team. Mark Stein reports the family remains excited about the future of the franchise and the Cooper Flag era. Even Cuban and other billionaires cannot buy what is not for sale.
True.
And second is a real estate question. When Cuban sold the franchise, he was honest, saying that the NBA had become more of a real estate investment tool than the technology business it was when he bought it. Owners can now leverage the team to build a new arena and then use that anchor of people and activity to build mixed-use retail around it.
I mean, you can be excited about the future for Cooper Flag, though, but when you trade away Luka Doncic, people may forgive, but they won't forget.
But it says that was rumored to be the plan for the Adelsons, owners of the Las Vegas Sands Corporation.
Move the Mavericks to Vegas.
Who are said to want to build a resort complex with an arena as part of it. And a casino, although gambling is not legal in Texas. So then why'd you buy a team in Dallas?
Yeah, to move them to Vegas? Come on now.
And it says, well, Adelson has pumped money into a campaign to get a gambling legalized in the state. It is nowhere close to having. Duh. You really thought gambling was going to be legalized in Texas? Texas is like California. No offense. But they are as strict about gambling as California is, right?
I think California is still the strictest state out of them all. I mean, there's literally a story going around that they're cracking down more on card rooms here in the state, Nick, as I shared with you and DiMartino from MSN.com a couple days ago.
So I didn't know this, but Cuban still owns 27% of the Mavericks.
That makes sense.
But it says, although the Adelsons can buy 20% of that later this year.
Fully buy him out then.
Well, he would still have 7%. But either way, it sounds more like Cuban will remain in his role as an advisor rather than return to his role of owner. I kind of hope he would become the owner again.
Same. I mean,
he was great. He was a great owner.
I mean, do you think he makes that trade for Luke or that he trades Luka if he was
no.
still owner? Hell no.
He said afterwards, I never would have made that trade.
Yeah.
Now, does Luka change his ways and become in good shape, though, again?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
So I think for his life, it made him better that he got traded to the Lakers because now he cares about his...
Yeah, but it also, in a way, sets the Mavericks back a few years, though.
I mean, Cooper Flag is going to be an incredible player. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I'm not going to deny that, but...
He already is. He's already carrying this team already.
Yeah.
But You're going to have to deal with Kyrie Irving coming back at some point. You got rid of Anthony Davis.
I don't know.
Headache. I think that was a good trade, just getting Anthony Davis out of there.
Oh, yeah. Shipped him off to the Wizards.
you send him to the deep, dark abyss in Washington.
Oh, man. Well, they've not been relevant since they won the NBA title in 78 when they were still the Bullets with Wes Unseld. Goodness gracious.
Also, one last quick update. The suspensions were announced for Pistons Hornets, by the way. Isaiah Stewart, Mr. Fight. Mr. Fights a lot. Who came off the bench, by the way. 7 games for Isaiah Stewart.
Jeez.
Miles Bridges, 4 games. Moussa Diabate, 4 games. Jalen Duran, 2 games. There were punches thrown.
There were punches. I'm shocked there wasn't any more penalties handed down for fists being thrown in that game.
So Stewart received a harsher punishment because he left the bench to get involved because he was not on the floor.
Yeah, you leave the bench in anything, you're going to be getting suspended right away.
Multiple skirmishes happened during the game. First involved Diabate and Duran when the former fouled Duran. It was a hard foul, I think.
Yeah, very hard foul.
It's nothing like Malice in the Palace, but like
nothing's ever going to top that, sadly.
When does that come out again, or did that come out yet?
I think it's not till like over the off season because we have so many episodes already booked.
I did that one, right?
Yes.
That was a fun episode.
I think we even added the audio of Mike Breen and Greg Anthony like being shocked when Artest jumps over the table.
He's in the stands.
Yeah. I think Nick. Yeah, and I think Nick. One more last full media press clipping again, where again we mentioned a little bit that we have been really following the updates concerning today's show anchor Savannah Guthrie and the search for her mom. The last update we can give you from Yahoo's Kate Murphy is that there's been new photos who show investigators now expanding their search outside of Nancy Guthrie's home in Tucson, Arizona, early this morning. Furthermore, Yahoo News does report that a man who said he was detained for several hours in connection with the apparent abduction of Nancy Guthrie has been released after investigators searched the home where he lives in Rio Rico, Arizona. That broke really overnight while Nick and I were still doing some stuff for today's show at around midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern. In part, speaking to reporters outside the home, he shares with his wife and mother-in-law, the man who only called himself Carlos, said he had not heard of the Guthrie case, but we hoped police would help solve it. Furthermore, late on Tuesday, the Pima County Sheriff's Department said it had detained an individual during a traffic stop south of Tucson. Police and the FBI's evidence response team conducted a court-authorized search at a location in Rio Rico, Arizona, about 50 minutes north of the U.S. border with Mexico, with FBI Director Kash Patel sharing photos on social media and a video of a person wearing a ski mask and gloves who appeared to have tampered with the camera at Nancy Guthrie's front door. She's been missing since January 31st at 9:45 p.m. local time, per reports gathered and per Savannah's own account. So, Nick, obviously, we even both said off the air last night, when you hear about, and it's already, Nick, a straight line from Tucson down to the border from Arizona into towards Mexico. And we both even said that's not good.
Yeah. This is a tough situation. There was a ransom note for
$6 million in Bitcoin.
Yeah. And apparently another ransom note came out. This is a tough situation to be in.
I mean, I'll say, Nick, this is some scary shit, though, too.
Oh, my God. ESPN just ran a Kalshi ad on TV. Wait a minute.
Was Giannis in it?
No. I thought they have a DraftKings deal. Why would they air a commercial from Kalshi?
Competition.
Oh, stop it. Oh, man. Well, that'll do it for this show. Make sure you follow us on social media at Press Row ETB across all our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok.
TikTok was being a pain in the ass.
Yeah, really. Follow our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network. As we continue to grow, we fix these Twitter issues, which I'm right now fighting with the Twitter people.
Bring it on, man! Bring it on!
Yeah. No, let's call it off. Oh, so the talking cheese is going to tell us what to do. Yes, that's what I feel like right now. Make sure you follow us at ETB Network across all our network platforms as well. As we continue to do a lot of things. I don't know. Are you Olympic benching later today?
I believe we will be.
As I continue to fight to make sure that our platforms.
Depends on if Twitter is not going to be an a-hole about this.
I'm trying. Well, they finally gave me a reference number, so maybe a live person will.
Because he's a raw pain in the ass.
Elon or Twitter?
Both.
Watch. We're going to get in trouble now because I said bad things about his name.
Please. Well, anyway,
we threw out his name. We threw out his name. What do we do?
We come back next Wednesday because I got to get moving for work.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We'll try to have a guest next week. Just like I said, the timing was not great. There's Super Bowl and all that stuff. Everyone's on the West Coast, so that made it harder also. But that'll do it for this episode. What else do we have coming up this week? What's the episode for benchmarks and small market edition coming up?
Small market edition this week is going to be covering the ongoing struggle to get women's professional hockey its own league after numerous starts and stops. We finally got there. We'll talk about a few people. Blake Bolden, Haley Skamura, Hillary Knight, Marie-Philippe Poulin in the episode about their careers, but also getting the PWHL to where it is today. Will be our lead episode on Friday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern on your podcast app. And then I believe on Sunday, going to go double check what we have planned for Sunday for our next benchmarks episode coming up at 9 p.m. Pacific time, midnight Eastern on Sunday. What do we have here? You know, go and double check. Let's go back to Acast real quick. We do this live, folks, as you can tell. Coming up next for benchmarks this upcoming Sunday is going to be. Now, we're so far ahead of the curve here. This is awesome. We are going to be exploring the murder of Andres Escobar after the 1994 Men's World Cup with the own goal scored that knocked Colombia out of the tournament. That was very
that was you, right?
That was me, yeah.
And then I'm trying to think what else we have coming up just the rest of the way. Actually, we have to make a scheduling change because I totally forgot about something. But Zinger is actually going to be on Saturday, not Sunday this week. I forgot. He just told me. So we'll make that change quickly when we're done. Saturday's going to be loaded.
Yeah.
Week. Actually, there might not be anything on Sunday. This
what?
Weekend. Well, because coming up tomorrow. What? I forgot to promote this. Coming up tomorrow is the postmortem edition of the football forecast. It's the last football forecast of the season, and football. And Cowan's gonna love this sentence. Will be in the books.
Well, I forced everybody to become soccer fans during the World Cup in June.
Well, we are working on a soccer pop-up show, which we're in the process of. Oh, I don't know if we want to talk because you brought up hockey slightly, but we're in the process of something cool coming.
Very cool. We'll have more for that hopefully next week on the show.
So we might have our own rights deal along the way that doesn't involve being restricted.
Yeah. And maybe a cool event too over the summer.
Yeah. So that's it. That's it for the show. I don't know if there's anything else left to say, but we enjoy doing the show. We love the sports media. And now we move on to baseball and the NBA.
Crazy.
And some other stuff now that football's in the books. Until then, make sure you join us next week. What's that date again?
The 18th at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Yes, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time on the 18th. Sorry, today's the 11th. Boy, my brain's not functioning right now because there's too many shows going on. But until then, have a good day, have a good night, have a good evening, wherever you are across this crazy country. He's Callan. I'm Nick. Have a good night, everybody. We will see you next